And I'll probably have to sober up a little.
Cheers again, man.
Cheers.
Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Nothing like a whiskey 10 in the morning on Sunday, right?
12.
Oh, 12 already.
Afternoon.
Oh, so it's legal now.
Absolutely. Okay, so look at this. So we are now streaming on Reinventing. Welcome, Reinventing. I'm not going to take over the show. I'm just going to make sure that we don't get echo. Hey, Guy Aitchison says hi. Hey, Guy. Okay, so we'll be monitoring the chat room there just in case.
You wanna try to open it with a base, so you have it.
Well, you could see it too that way, maybe.
No, yeah, for you to see.
I don't care. I don't even know how it works.
I don't know either. Sorry, man.
Hey, Larry.
Is
How
that
goes
good for
it?
you?
Yeah, perfect.
Awesome. Let me see. It's not covering your face or anything right now. Gabriel. Is that Gabriel?
Gabriel. Yeah,
Gabriel?
It's in the angel Gabriel, but it's for me in a secular way. I'll be trumpeting my horn, I guess.
Awesome, man.
That's a tough conversation opener when I'm on hold or whatever, or on customer service. Like, oh, Gabriel, like the angel. I'm like, you do not want to talk religion with me. I know that.
Get this thing very close to your face.
Sorry.
And no, don't play. You can move
Well,
as
I
you
can move
need.
this so I get comfortable.
Get comfy, yeah. Like the idea is to keep it like 3-4 fingers far from your face so the sound is better.
Perfect.
They said don't talk like directly to the front, like a little off, but our phone is better like that. And the little pops now and then, we can get rid of that.
Oh, that's one of those pops.
Yeah, no worry, man. It's just that it sounds better. Like here, you can barely hear, like compared with that. You know what I mean? Like
100%.
It's clean. So, Gabriel, thank you for coming, man.
Thank you very much for having me. It's always exciting to kind of be on this end of the mic. Who knows what's going to come out of my mouth?
I know. Let's see, man. We don't know. Like, right before we start recording, it was like, what we going to talk about? Like, I don't know. Let's see what we talk about.
On the way down, I was thinking about all of the things and, doing stuff. I mean, it's awesome that this is exceeding the tattoo world, right? So I was looking at the list a little bit, and you said earlier, it's way more than just tattooers. Earlier you said there's a comedian down here. So in that way, it's actually kind of fun, too, to like take the other hat, like the more of a computer geek that happens to be in the tattoo world hat. Mm-hmm. And but I love to talk tattoos too. So
awesome, me too, man.
Yeah.
Let me start asking you how you yourself are not a tattoo artist.
I've never tattooed anybody. Nope.
So how you got into the tattoo industry?
By getting tattooed, and basically I got a bunch of crappy tattoos and wanted to get better ones and couldn't really afford them. I mean, I kind of did. I got So by getting tattooed is a short answer. I got a couple crappy tattoos, and then on my quest to get better tattoos, I ended up at Dark Side Tattoo. I think we were talking about just a little earlier here in Connecticut in the mid '90s, and so I was getting better tattoos at the time, maybe better quality tattoos, but my ideas, I was still in my late teens, early 20s, getting we were talking about religion a little bit earlier. I had a bunch of angels, Albright Durer woodcuts that made beautiful images, and but that was kind of like the Catholic school kind of almost getting out of me, and then I lasered it off later, and I actually got it off of me and out of me. So, anyways, I was getting tattooed in the New Haven area, and I was doing freelance computer programming.
Doing what?
Computer geek.
Oh, cool, man.
I'm a freelance computer programmer.
Okay, cool.
So I started programming when I was really young, maybe like 8 or 9 years old. So this would be 70. I was born in 74, so I don't know, early 80s. Kind of.
How much of a difference you see? It's a stupid question, I know, but from when you started with those computers, they were like just the blinking thing there, right, with the green letters or white letters.
We had to program. I had to program the code. For hours to play Pong, right?
Imagine.
And I was taking some tests, the ADHD stuff, and it's like, I could focus. I could spend 5 hours straight in front of the computer. They're like, yeah, that's cool.
Let me ask you. You just said ADHD, right? What is the ADHD?
Attention deficit hyperactive disorder, and so that's
so it's like
AD. Attention deficit.
Oh, okay. I thought you said 80, like the number 80, HD.
Yeah.
Because I was reading a book to my son, and that robot is ADHD. So I thought that's what you said. I was like, is that related?
It's probably the author being clever.
Right, probably, yeah.
But I've I'm definitely not normal, right? The way that I talk, the way that I communicate, you know. So anyway, so I can focus for long periods of time. So I had to program. We're talking about programming. And so this was in the TI 99-4A is what I had. And that was like the safe spot, right? So like my life was relatively nuts. The computer was a place where if I type in these instructions, I could play the video game. And, you know, from there, I just started, you know, I've always been a computer geek, I guess is the answer. I started using it for tattooers.
What was like video games that were out in that time for consoles?
Well, actually, it was like Pong.
It was
like
just that two. That was it.
Oh yeah. And like Asteroids was like one of the fancier ones, you know. But this was blinking cursor, you know, big ass blinking cursory kind of stuff. But okay, so the differences. The question was, you know, the differences, right? So it's amazing to see kind of what hasn't really changed, right, and what has. And in the last 5 or 10 years too, it's been another shift, right? It's you know, a lot of the hacker-ish mentality and philosophy used to have to be like a real kind of computer geek to kind of like to play video games. You have to program the fucking video game, and then it just becomes more accessible, right? Which is great. It's what, you know. It's not unlike tattooing, you know, where more people get to experience the experience, you know, and but it also changes it, and so now, you know, computers were used as tools for a long period of time, and I love that part, and I love using computers as tools. It gives us access to do things, you know, that usually rich people only have access to, frankly. And you know, and again, and it just evolves. So some of the changes, I'm working on catalogs, like things I used to charge $20,000 for, you know, Shopify could do for fucking $100 a month. I mean, you end up spending more, but the point is, you know, at the rate that the technology goes, you know, even as a computer geek, it shifts pretty much. But you know, there's a change when, you know, we're using the computers as tools, and then when the computers are using, you know, us as the tools, and it's you know, it's so easy to kind of get sucked right in, especially in tattooing. It's visual, so it's real easy to get sucked into all the social medias and the posts. But again, part of it's like, you know, wait, this completely changes the game. This is using me as the fucking tool, and you know, not the other way around.
That's a cool perspective. I never really thought it that way. Like, I know how much we're getting like sucked into the social media and in the digital world, let's say, into the computers and stuff. But I never really thought as they're using us, and basically it kind of makes sense, right?
Well, there's I think it, like with all the tools, you go back to the intentions, you know, and when I'm consulting with clients, you know, and we're thinking about different technologies to use, you know, it's like, you know, there's a lot of different people or companies that do all these different things now. But like, what's the intention, right? Is the intention of the company to make, you know, great websites, or is the intention to sell a lot of shit, right? Shopify, okay, sell a lot of shit to make great websites, you know, not in WordPress. Like I prefer custom coding, or, you know, but point is, you look at the technologies and figure out, you know, who is in charge and what do they actually want to accomplish, you know, and, you know, social media, Instagram, you go, we know what they want to accomplish, and it's not necessarily helping us become healthy individuals.
No.
I mean, and it's not, you know, the computer doesn't give a shit either. Like if it was human nature to like really get excited and addicted to like, you know, really sweet things, then we would. But unfortunately, human nature, well, I don't know, maybe, I don't know tons about it, right? But, you know, I don't know if it's just amplifying human nature, or if it's just, you know, going out of its way to specifically amplify specific.
And I definitely think that the social media and the computing and all of that, it just pick what you want and it give it to you. So they don't create things against your own will to help to kind of catch you in. They just check to see who you are, what you want, and then just give you that. Sure. So it's very unfair to blame the computer for, oh, it's just showing me bad news, it's just showing me terrible things. No, you're looking for that.
Yeah, but like, okay, so like, you know, drug dealers don't have a responsibility necessarily for what happens with their product, right? But like, I mean, that's akin to being like, which poison would you like? You know, this one, that one, you know, just because we love gambling and can get addicted to it and do it a lot doesn't mean it's healthy, you know?
Definitely.
And you know, it's the people that are programming this stuff and doing this stuff, they're not like I mean, some of them are relatively secretive, but like if you just, you know, there's enough people that have been that move around the software companies that you could kind of suss out what they're about and what they want to do.
Yeah.
And,
So how you really got then in, because for how long you been over what,
so the mid
12, 15 years that you've been?
Like in the mid 90s is when I did like the first tattoo website, with Sean from Darkside. Like I said, in the mid 90s, it was like envision.com.
So you just did like,
Darkside.
It started as somebody needed a website and it hired you to do it.
No. I brought the idea to him. I was trying to figure out ways to trade to get better tattoos, right? So I got I was getting a cover up, and I'd finally found a good artist, right? This guy Sean, and he's a really cool color work, and I started, but I wanted to get a cover up on my leg. I would start with my leg mess.
Who's this, Sean? What?
Sean O'Hara.
Okay, shout out to Sean O'Hara.
So, hey, thank you, Sean. He's actually still in East Haven, Connecticut now. But anyways, he was covering up this was a long time ago, everyone. I'm sure he wouldn't compromise now, I'm sure. Anyways, he was like, I want $500 to cover it up. I'm like, I got $300. I'm about to go hitchhiking across the country, And he was like, fuck it, let's do it.
Were you really about to go?
Oh, yeah. I hitchhiked around the country. And people were not very, going through the Midwest with this like demon-y, angel-y kind of thing on my leg. There was definitely the first time where I saw people like shield their kids from.
Imagine in the 90s.
But
nowadays they probably will come like, oh, come kid, check my.
They do.
This person tattoo is so cool.
Absolutely, that's one of the stories I'll tell about the shift in tattooing. Is grandmothers used to go to the other side of the streets to get away from you. Now they come to the side of the street.
They grab you in the. I've been touched by a strange more for all ladies than for any other.
Sure.
Age or sex. Let's say in the supermarket, Walmart, whatever, they come in, oh, look at this, it's so nice. They touch you like, okay, it's still not appropriate to touch people in the street like that, but it's okay.
Yeah, everyone's got different, I'm not a touchy-feely kind of a guy. Like, I don't like the hugs. This COVID stuff is fine with me. I'm like, everybody stay 6 feet away. We're all good. That's it's fine with me. But what I realized, so I compromised on the tattoo, right? So I was haggling over I wasn't haggling over the price. I didn't have any more money, and so he put the tattoo on me. But maybe it wasn't. He wanted $500 for it. And he was getting $300 for it, and we were kind of friends. But like he was just basically doing the tattoo.
A $300 tattoo.
A $300 tattoo on what should have been a $500 area, right? And so then what I wanted is a better tattoo. I knew how much it cost. And at the time, I was also freelance computer programming, so I would go, maybe do like motorcycle trips or whatever, and land in Florida and do programming for Epcot Center or something, and then come back. And I was like, hey, I'm doing these, really awesome computery things for other, for evil corporations, basically, and why don't we do them? You want a website for tattoos? And from my recollection, right? So he could fact check the story, but like. He was like, I'll do stuff like this on your hand for free, these small ones. But when I'm working on I'll have to charge you like a session rate. I'm not going to do it for free. I'm going to barter with you. He was in tune enough with computers to know that, let's do this shit, right? And he might have been programmer. He probably was like a programmer-y type at some point. So was Guy. Guy Aitchison was a programmer-y person at points in his life. And anyway, so Sean was like, yeah, let's do this. And then we put it up. And it was like the next time he was working on one of the parrots, it was like, dude, people just keep, calling and emailing because of the website. They search for tattoos online. And again, this is mid-90s.
Not many options.
Like, one of the very first websites I was on there. So between me and Sean, it was a lot of fun. It was great. As with a lot of the stories, it's a roller coaster, and it was really great when it was really great, and then it gets kind of crazy and not so great. Hopefully we all learn lessons, and so that's part of it, right? So I've gone through a couple different waves of having hundreds of thousands or millions of eyeballs at times, and some things haven't changed, right? And when things do get crazy, when all sorts of crazy drugs get in the mix, or all sorts of divorce, whatever, I work with like hundreds and sometimes thousands of artists in different ways, right? I mean, I email with thousands. I work with probably a couple hundred with websites and stuff, and then sometimes I'm working in smaller teams, and I don't know. It's crazy. It's fine. I don't know where I was going with that.
No, it's okay, man. All good. So that's how you got into doing websites and stuff for the industry, right?
Yeah, you know what?
You
At the time, I didn't even want to do websites. I was like, pictures and words. I'm programming fucking video games. You know,
you wanted the tattoos, and that was you kind of.
But I wanted the tattoos. I wanted big tattoos, and I still want big. I still have to finish my bodysuit. And you know, I don't think I'd stop when I'm done with my bodysuit. I think I'd probably have to.
So, then you got into TattooNow is your page.
Correct. Yeah. So Sean and I were partners originally way back in the Dark Side days. And then as you know, that story transitioned. You know, I took over TattooNow probably in like 2001, 2-ish. Wow. Somewhere around there. I think we officially launched it in 2001. It was whenever the September 11th year was. I don't remember what it was. But,
2001.
2001. So it was 2001. We officially launched TattooNow like a month later at the New Jersey show, one of Mary Bar shows. And I definitely remember taking the ride over. For one, thinking this was a really shitty time to start a fucking business. And but we were all depressed. It was crazy. It was still 3 weeks away from September 11th, and we went over to see the crater, and it was fucking nuts. Yeah. But that's we had like maybe 15 websites at the time. That 1999 hit. I think we originally registered the domain like in 99.
All of this is still with Sean?
Yeah. We launched TattooNow with Sean.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, absolutely. That was. I think he registered the domain name.
Cool.
Like I said, I'm the driving computer programmer behind it, and I've owned the domain name for 20 years now. But
and from there you were like you got very, very, very involved into the tattoo industry then, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I guess it's crazy. It's not. It's funny to think how long ago. One of the catalysts was when my wife got pregnant, and when we decided to have a child, it was like, like I said, I was kind of like a freelancer, so I would travel around and make some real good money working for different people, and then come back, work on tattoo stuff.
Put a little closer to you, just a little.
So then I'd work on, when I come back, I'd work on the tattoo stuff and music stuff. I also had a website for musicians.
Are you a musician yourself?
I am not. No, I don't. Okay. I don't actually do any art really.
Okay.
Although what I do is artistic, I suppose, right? And there's definitely like a lot of creativity involved. So depending on what your definition is, but I don't play any music. I don't draw. I don't paint. Definitely don't tattoo. I once almost, but anyways, that's not the story. Where were we?
I don't know.
Bouncing around
that your wife got pregnant.
So then it became real. It was like, oh shit, like my time.
I'm an adult.
My time is limited on this earth, and I need to make sure that I don't fuck around with it. And I was either going to jump in even more with musicians or even more with tattooers, because it seems like getting a regular, real job is not in my cards. And it was clear. It was like tattooer, it's a very unique art, and I can't say that I didn't get into it because of, the opportunity with the money. I mean, it's like a space where artists can make really good money doing art. And my tools and my brain work really well with amplifying that, right? So, as a computer programmer, and I'm a little bit maybe even better of a software designer or software architect. Like I could create a map of the way things should be programmed, better than I can like go through there and program it all in a meticulous manner in a detailed way that communicates properly, right? So I can program, but I'm a better designer. Okay. And kind of the same thing with business too. It's like I can make business plans that are fucking impervious, but like when it comes down to like operating, I just like, I have my checklist. I'm getting better at it, but I'm not as much of I am an operator out of necessity, and I can probably do it at a minimum executive level. But I'm definitely more of like I said, of an architect. So so
the Paradise Gathering. Yeah, you were involved in that one too, right?
Oh yeah. That's my I founded it. Of course, all the stuff I had help with a lot of people, and certainly that very first year of Paradise.
2008.
2008 was the first year that we did it. Yeah. Okay. So we started working on it in 2007. I think the tattoo shop was open at a tattoo shop, and it had opened in 2005.
And the name?
That was off the map.
In Boston, Massachusetts. No, Western Massachusetts.
Yeah, Western Massachusetts. And we had been doing a ton of guests at the time, and it became relatively apparent that if we brought everybody together at once, we could have a convention. And, I think that we had been trying to get Derb would bring a Hell City out to New England. A couple of the other area artists I'd put it in his ear. I tried, and at one point I was like, "So Derb, I drove by. Yeah, whatever. I found a location like in the area where we're at, and I was like, Derb, I found a location. We should, you want to do a Hell City out here?" And he's like, "Nah, I'm going out to Arizona, but if you want to do a convention, I'll help you." And I was like, "Oh fuck, shit!" Okay. I mean, I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, it was one of those times where it was like, there's no question that at some point now I have to make that an option or a possibility, because he runs one of the best conventions, and to have his help meant that it was a tremendous offer, and so it took a couple years it took another year or two to find the venue. So that the venue that I had in mind wasn't right, and so I kind of gave up. I wanted to make sure that we found the right space. And eventually I was with my daughter, and we were up at Jiminy Peak. It's a little mountain resort. It's like a ski resort, and they have alpine slides. I don't care I don't care if anybody shows up. The alpine slides are fucking amazing. And, that gives me more time to be on the alpine slides. I'm looking at the schedule this year, and I'm like, I don't have time to go on the rides. Sunday's packed. Anyway, show up on Sundays if you want to ride the alpine slides. But anyways, so when I was there was a lot of the workers were like, "Oh, tattoos! You got tattoos? We had a big biker show here last week." And I was like, "Well, I like bikes; they're cool, but like, my bike culture and my tattoo culture didn't mix, as much, as they were expecting, right? Like for me, I'm like, I like motorcycles, and I rode a motorcycle around the country a bunch, yeah, please, but like usually to the tattooer, they weren't looking for great tattoos." And but after like the fourth or fifth person said, "Thank you, then I'm good." I think we were on the we're strapped in. They have a couple. They have the alpine slide. No, thank you. They have the alpine slide, which is the sled that you could go flying off of, or skin your tattoos. So you have to sign the liability form, whatever. But then they have the one where you strap yourself in, and they strapped us in, and we're like. And they were like, "Oh, tattoos, we had bikers here." I'm like, "I know you had bikers here." "How many?" And they're like, "Oh, it's like 1,000. I'm like, "You had 1,000 bikers here in this beautiful..." And now I'm thinking about this as I'm going up through the mountain. It's like perfectly quiet. I'm there with my daughter, and we were chatting it up a little bit. In my head, I'm like, they had 1,000 people here. And, this is a mountain resort, though. That's weird. They don't do tattoo conventions in mountain resorts like they do them in cities where there's actually people.
I know, right?
And but I had it in my head, so I to make a medium length story shorter, I caught up with like Derb, and like Joe came up. I think that first field trip, Carson from Numa back in the day. I brought a couple of the the people around that I was working with, and they were gracious enough and exceptionally, generous with their time, and everyone was a little bit like, "Well, this is a little freaky," but they didn't tell me no. I guess I don't remember what they said, but and there was also Brett from Pulse was another person who when I was running the ideas by, he was like, "That sounds great," like the discussion panels, the education. So my wife teaches infants, so she gets the human brains like not as they're forming, because they're forming when at some point while they're. Let's not even get into that, right?
Yeah,
she gets them when they're like 3 to 10 months maybe, and the brains are up until 3 years is when they're wiring together all the neurons and whatnot, right? So she's creating these experiences for the human brain while they're using the environment as a teacher, kind of a thing. And I didn't dig school at all. Again, that's back to my, I'm getting screened for, ADHD stuff, like whatever, I'm weird. I didn't get along in school at all. And, but I realized what she was doing with, both the babies, but also with the parents, and changing their expectations, opening their eyes up to what's possible, communicating with babies. It's not just baby speak. They're literally figuring out what it is that you're communicating with them. The simple thing, she'll teach them sign language before they can speak, right? So if they're hungry, they can ask for milk, or if they're tired, they can say they're tired before their mouths, have all the muscle control. Anyways, I was that was the other half that I was getting immersed in, right? Is kind of that part of how education actually is the best return on investment, right? this kind of gets into like my poor white trash businessy computer. I'm like, I'm trying to always look for the best return on the investment, right? Of both money, because I never really had much in time because it's all limited and running out. And, if the best, return for a community is investing in high quality education for the brains as soon as you possibly can, right? And, I was like, I could, do that in tattoo world. Tattooers actually make money. Babies don't make any money. Tattooers make money.
Know.
And, so that it was like mountain resort, kind of out of the way, pilgrimage, education. People were needing education, and a guy has always been he was an inspiration at that point. I didn't know him. Maybe I'd emailed with him a little bit through like the forums or something. But again, I saw what he was doing with education. I was like, this is, I wanted to make an event that he would also find attractive as an inspiration, right? I was like, when I looked around the tattoo world, he's human. We're all human. Yeah. But like, he's a fucking badass human anyways. So there we go. I was like, okay, out in the middle of the woods, teaching, those first round of people that were supportive of the show, and especially Derby brought out all the equipment, and Jeff came out to do the emceeing. Really made sure that, we didn't make any entry-level mistakes. And other people can speak for the experience, but it feels like it was a world-class show right from the very get-go.
Yeah, man. It's surprising me a lot. When I first heard about it, I wasn't tattooing yet. I started tattooing in 2009, I would say. So back then I wasn't tattooing. But when I first heard about the retreat, the Paradise Retreat, it was a great concept because it was not just a tattoo convention with some seminars. It was more like oriented to education than just tattooing.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. I mean, we did have tattooing. The first 2 years it was tattooing. Mm-hmm. And then it was the second year that Guy and Michelle were coming out. And it was very stressful for me. Like I said, I hadn't really worked with them much at that time. Like Sean Barb was coming, Bob Tyrell was coming. A lot of our heavies were like, oh, fuck, that seems awesome. Let's do it. But after that second year, it was like there was no way I was doing it again. It was way too stressful. I was drinking way too much, to try to overcompensate, which was not fair to my wife or kid. And but when everyone was there on the mountain, it really is awesome. It's like, there's no assholes that get out there at this, whatever couple assholes might get ejected really quickly. And, Michelle and Guy were like, we really need to keep this going. Like, we can't really, let this just stop. And Michelle brought the idea to my wife, Kim, what if, no tattooing, but what if we just did art and painting? So it was the third year up at Jiminy Peak where it was all painting, no tattooing at all.
In your personal opinion, which one do you think is better for the
Paradise
the
Paradise Artist Retreat without tattooing? Doubt in my mind.
Without the tattooing?
Without the tattooing, because it's all the creativity, it's all of the art, but the heaviness of, I love tattooing. I love the tattoo gathering, but if I have to pick one, if I have to, of course. If I have to kill all of my other children, actually, this one isn't even my child, right? This is, like I said, this is Guy and Michelle's kind of idea doing it. I produce it, but like, there's no stress of opening people up or bleeding or disease, or that. It's just creating art together, and the hustle for money isn't there. By the time that people are coming out to Jiminy Peak, they're usually not focused on money, even though they all make a lot of, they all can make really good daily, rates. But that's not their focus, right? The focus is on education and sharing, because you can make a lot of money in a city. There's a lot easier ways to make a lot of money. Mm-hmm.
I agree that the whole purpose or beauty of this event compared with any other tattoo convention is actually, as an artist, you have that time to just hang out with friends, do art, not be like, okay, my client is coming, then you tattooing until 12 in the night, let's go for a drink, something to eat, disgusting in the middle of the night, to next day do it again. You don't really have time to relax and focus. You're just tattooing. And I love tattooing. Definitely I love it. And I love going to conventions and stuff. But sometimes it gets a little exhausting, when you have to go to a bunch of conventions back to back and just sleeping in hotels. And I don't know, it's unfair to kind of complain about it, because I'm not really trying to complain. what I'm trying to say is that if it was just for tattooing, I would rather stay home because I'm busy at home.
Sure.
So if I'm going to a show, it's because I want to see the friends and hang out and say hi to a bunch of people from everywhere that you never get to see, at least that you go to a convention, right?
Well, I don't tattoo, right? So that's my experience at tattoo conventions, right? So like, and I do watch a lot of opportunities get lost because people are tattooing. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, like, so for me, ideally there's a little bit of a mix, right? You do some tattoos, then you make sure you have time for your networking and all the other fun stuff that it offers. Traveling, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, I can't imagine, I can't count how many places that I've been that I haven't gone and done the field trips on. And it's like, fuck, man, I should be doing field trips on there. I'm not also complaining because I also have taken amazing trips all around the world to fantastic places,
Yeah, it's weird that nowadays, every time you speak about something, you have to apologize. Like, I'm not complaining. Don't get mad at me. I'm not complaining.
For sure.
We shouldn't need to say that, but it's good to say it so people kind of comprehend that.
Yeah, not everyone. I mean, I don't want to ever I can't ever take it for granted. I've watched a lot of people take it for granted. Mm-hmm. Not take it for granted. They've let the repetition taint the experience. So the human brain's wired to treat repetition as safe. Mm-hmm. It's designed for the, when something weird happens is when you're looking at it, is that a danger or whatever, right? So if you are hanging around with, like, if you have amazing guest artists every week or sometimes 2 a week, right? It becomes normal. And then if you're not careful, years later, you become numb to it. Right. Mm-hmm. It'd be like all of a sudden I'm hanging out, with Bob Tyrell at a bar at 8:00 at night, and I'm like, where the fuck are the artists? They got so used to like this. I mean, I didn't mind, man. If no one else shows up, I'll fucking show up. Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. But and it's not even. I mean, it's just the way the human brain works.
Yeah. Yes.
And
you're right in that too.
So but one of the reasons why I think I am here, or still here doing whatever, is that, like, I do wake up every day. I'm like, man, I am exceptionally thankful to be working with the people that I work with. Thankful that my wife hasn't figured that I'm too weird, and it's I don't know, yeah, it's difficult to work with a ton of different types of personalities, and again, you kind of have to suss it out. You got to figure it out, and everything can get crazy too.
So you guys skip a couple of years, right? Mm-hmm. That retreat.
Yeah, I mean the all of the events have kind of have a pattern that spreads over time, right? So like in the very first tattoo gathering, I was like, this isn't really even going to have its full impact until we've been doing this stuff for like 10 years, right? And when there's a whole generation of tattooers who don't know any different, right? So the first generation of tattooers are at the first. I mean, and there were other shows that were doing some similar things before that. We weren't the very first to do anything, but in my mind, I'm like, 10 years after the first, tattoo gathering is when the people that were there the first year of the tattoo gathering that hadn't been tattooing or were apprentices will be professionally tattooing for anywhere between 6 and 7 or 8 years, maybe even. And right off out of the gate, like I said, after the second year, I'm like, I'm not doing this again. So we shifted to the art retreat, and to your point before, like, that is a magical event. There's no stress. I remember that was the first time where I felt, I'm a fucking sciencey guy, right? So I feel really weird, trying to explain this, but there are scientific underpinnings to it. But I felt the energy. It was like 1:00 in the morning on like the third day. The first day of the art retreat, people are like, what the fuck are we doing? What's an art retreat? Like, are we supposed to be painting? We're like, yeah, we have spaces. Everyone should set up and paint. And like, okay, we'll set up and start painting. Second day, they're like, oh, this is cool. I'm painting. We're having a good time. I'm going to seminars. By day 3, everyone's like waking up. They're going to the seminars. They're painting in the meantime. They had lunch. And then by like 1:00 in the morning, there was 100 people in all the different rooms, 4 or 5 different rooms. And there was probably like 120 people all out painting at the same time. My daughter was, she'd woken up, We've got some energy stories to tell about her too. She woke up at 11:00 at night, and we started to take the walk around the resort, and there was a energy. Like, everyone was. I mean, and we know that human beings have electrical currents. We know we have electricity in our body. Everyone's electrical bodies were fucking amplifying each other. And, there's really awesome things that happen at tattoo conventions. There's a lot of progress to be made. And when you're learning about how to tattoo on people better, that's a compounding effect, that you're really putting out there in the world. But as far as that kind of stuff goes, so back to the pattern, we'll do then the art retreats, and then we were going to do like maybe another tattoo convention and an art retreat, and we were going to move them out west. So we're going to maybe get them a little bit bigger. We did one out in Keystone, Colorado. And then we were going to move the art retreat to this really wonderful resort in New Mexico. I would love for enough people to pre-sign up for an event out there again at the Tamia. New Mexico's beautiful. If I move anywhere, that would be one of the top places I think my family and I could agree on. Anyways, and then Alex DePasse was that year was like, "Hey Gabe, you want to do a conference in Chicago, Worldwide Tattoo Conference?" And because somewhere in there, a couple of years previously, he had started those up over in Europe, and that was my first or second seminar. That's a good story. We can save that one. But we're a couple of years ahead of a couple of years into the Worldwide Tattoo Conference, and he's like, "I want to bring it to America. I want to bring it to Chicago." And I'm like, "There's no way." I've got the tattoo gathering that we're moving to Keystone, Colorado, which is huge. That's fucking massive. And we're doing an art retreat in New Mexico, 6 months before that. And the tattoo shops are going full tilt. Like everyone, I think at that point, people would revolt. I can't do another event. And he was like, "What if we just do, 2 days, everyone's in the same room?" Well, I knew what it was. He was like, basically he was like, "Here are the conditions, and he set it up so I couldn't say no." And I was like, "Okay." And so that year we did 3 shows, and actually we put in, because we were doing the first events out west, we did a ski weekend in I don't know, Breckenridge or Keystone. We did a Keystone. Mm-hmm. So in January we did a ski thing. Stefano came out. He did a seminar. Derb came out. He did a seminar. I did a seminar. We had a bunch of tattooers from Denver come up and from the mountains come out. It was great. It was a lot of fun. So, and then 3 months later, we were in New Mexico, and it was amazing because then we saw some of the people that were up in Colorado come down to the art retreat in New Mexico. Cool. And although I took a bath in that New Mexico trip, but the conference saved my ass, right? So then the conference goes gangbusters. That was a testament in production. So the lesson that I learned about marketing was, so this is about the first time when I started losing my internet magic. Like up until that point, we were doing millions of people a month on the website. There was, no competition, and I'm a pretty sharp computer geek, and that's where my focus was. Mm-hmm. Then at this point, maybe the tattoo shop was like 6 or 7 years old, maybe. And so I was losing a little bit of focus on the computer geek stuff. Started to lose the internet traffic. We still have good traffic. We're still able to generate great business, but I don't have millions of people. I can't shit and sell it. I used to be able to shit and sell it. So like all of a sudden I'm going into this event in New Mexico, and I'm like, there's no one buying tickets. And this is a rich person resort. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a rich person resort. Like I talked my way into the spot where like they have like, it's a resort. They have all the fancy bathrooms that are huge, and people walk around in robes and pick their nose hairs and shit. And no one was showing up, and I was like, oh fuck, okay. Direct mail, everyone had been relying on the internet for 10 years and email at that point. And like, what if we just mail pretty pictures to people directly? And I had one of the suppliers was gracious enough to give me a list of tattooers in America. So we isolated out, New Mexico and the surrounding areas, and we direct mailed them a trifold. And we start getting the kickbacks of the trifold, and they're folded wrong. So instead of having like the invitation on the outside, which is like, are you ready for this amazing cosmic art event in New Mexico that's going to, help change your life or your artistic career or whatever? I don't know. We like to be inspirational, and we do try to deliver, so it's okay. Instead of that, and then opening up and being like, and don't worry, it's fun, $25 off or $50 off. It was just like, we just sent a tattoo shop $50 off without, it was wrong. And it was like, fuck. But I swear this will work. We'll do it for the Worldwide Conference, and I'm just going to spend the money again, right? So like after spending like $3,000 or something, I don't even know what it was. We sent out a lot of those things. We were like, it was a bad execution of a good idea. Like, and it was also a really great example of like just that simple error. Like if you don't connect all of the dots on a circuit, the electricity doesn't go all the way through. And people were, so we did another run for the Worldwide Conference. And when those hit, when we were, when I was taking a bath in New Mexico, it was great. So that's
came.
basically all. So people did show up to the conference, and people actually came to the art retreat too. People always show up and have a great time. When I had the tattoo shops, even if I lost a little bit of money on the event, I would, eventually have guests or hire resident artists.
It was one of those conference in a kind of hotel in Massachusetts. Were you involved with that one too?
In Boston.
When Nico Hurtado was there.
There was a worldwide tattoo conference in
Nick
Boston.
Baster.
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember the names.
I remember Joe came up to do the maybe he was like a surprise guest at the end. Although it's rough that I remember him as a surprise guest, but Alex DePasse. So Alex is
DePasse was there.
He's the producer of he's the producer of the Worldwide Conference, and then I co-produce the ones that are over here.
Okay.
And I may have co-produced.
He did one in Vienna, right? No, Vienna.
Rome was the first one. So he did Rome,
Venice.
That was amazing.
Yeah, you went there?
Oh yeah. No, I taught at the.
I wanted it to go, but I didn't go.
Oh yeah, I taught the one that Shige was at, which was amazing. So 5-6 years ago, there was a Worldwide Tattoo Conference in Venice. It was kind of like over the river, over the bog, so it was like actually on the mainland. But it was great. That was awesome. And then when
the venue was nice, right?
That was a very modern venue.
Oh, it was a modern venue.
Yeah.
I didn't go, so I just saw videos and stuff.
That was
But I saw a very classic building, beautiful building.
So when we were there for the conference, Derb, Alex, Stefania, and I went over to Stefania's Alex's manager type. He actually has like an operator to go with his vision. She's awesome, Stefania's. Anyway, so we all took like the field trip into Venice, Venice proper. And they found a Venetian palace. It was where Madonna filmed Like a Virgin.
Oh yeah,
back in the day.
Place.
It's an unbelievable venue. We absolutely have to return it. So that was the Venetian Tattoo Gathering. And we had tattooing there, and it was fun. I remember Damon Conklin being like, "Dude, you finally did a show like 45 minutes from the airport, and it's still impossible to find." And have you been to Venice?
No,
Italy?
never been yet.
It's fantastic. That's the perfect way to phrase it. It is magical. It's all walking. There's no cars. There's boats. It's it's one of my favorite places in the world. Italy definitely has a special place. I love the spots. My wife's teaching influences come from northern Italy, so that's one of the first spots that we ended up together, like traveling. The Venetian that was great. So and then what other events? Yeah, so then there's like the Emerald Isle tattoo session that co-produced with Martin. That's in Dublin.
Okay.
That was like 2 or 3 years in a row, and I've co-produced a lot of events and produced a lot of events, and
awesome, man.
It's a lot of fun, like helping craft experiences that inspire people to inspire each other. It's kind of one of those.
I always find, I admire people who's capable to think of an idea. That scared the shit out of me. You can put it back on, man. Hopefully I won't close it again. Let's see. Yeah,
that's all good.
This base is not. That base is not the best for the iPads.
No, it's in the cameras. It's fine. Now.
Okay. Maybe lean a little bit in the books. So I get a feet or ankle there. Yeah. So I always find like amazing how people can think about a plan like I don't know, a concert with them, like Woodstock. Think about something like that and find a way to put it all together and make it work smoothly all the way from planning until the final day, saying bye to everybody from the. It's just that shit. Crazy.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like,
you love it.
I'm not doing Woodstock. I'm not doing Woodstock volume stuff, but
but if you keep going as you go, you're probably going to end up doing something like a worldwide tattoo gathering where.
Well, but that's not like we don't.
Where it's like
volume has never been the goal.
I know.
And in some ways, I think if it reaches a volume, then inherent I mean, I would love to be able to scale high quality educational, inspirational experiences for as many people as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with tattoos, right? It's like as tattoos become more acceptable, that means that more people can experience the positive, compounding, life-changing effects of great tattooing. I want that for everybody. Like, I was really kind of convenient to be labeled as a rebel or an outcast by the simple act of getting a tattoo. But I don't think that's any real different. Like that force isn't any different than somebody like getting a tattoo to fit in. You know, for me, the sweet spot has been, you know, the tattoos that people put on themselves that are expressing something that a positive expression of something that, you know, is, again, that's something that'll be positive for them every day for the rest of their life, you know. And again, it has to be mixed with the tattooer delivering that experience, you know. So you know,
something that I noticed in the gatherings concept and all the work conference too is that it's very direct, created for the artist. So the ideal is that artists learn, probably new artists, but also people that already know a lot about the industry, but learn about the mind of those genius, let's call it, like Bob Terrell and Nico Hurtado, De Pace, and all of those guys, right? So you got the opportunity to learn from them, pick their brains, right?
Yeah.
I feel like somehow, I don't know, I'm just thinking that it could be cool to create something like that for the public, to educate public. So probably an event where either is more open to the general public, people to teach them how to choose the right artist, what to expect about.
Yeah.
Yes, price is very important, but sometimes some artists are overcharging for shit that they don't really worth that money.
We're picking it up.
Because, you know, people is like, okay, if it's cheap, it's shit, and then the more expensive, the best. It's not necessarily right. There are great artists that charge the money, and they deserve it, but there are some artists that they're not that good, or what they do is not like something that gonna last, or whatever the ideal is.
Yeah.
So I feel like it should be also for the general public, right?
Yeah.
And
so July 7th. July 7th to the 10th to the 13th. Shit, I should be better on my dates. Tattoo Art Expo next year. It's going to be outside of Chicago. Guys, one of the inspirations behind that one, that's like that is kind of what you were talking about, a combination of both, right? So he'll have a theater for the Reinventing education, but there'll be, I think it's like 50 booths, probably like 100 and change artists that'll be there tattooing. You know, with the same educational, bent, but it'll be open for the public, you know, full on public, like Chicago. Anybody could fly into the Chicago airport and get there. We have Get the Perfect Tattoo seminars, which is basically what you were hitting on. And I remember we did that way back in, I think it was in Dark Side Tattoo days, maybe right after. I was with Nick Baxter. I co-authored with him and Sam. Get the Perfect Tattoo was a booklet that we made.
Okay.
And you know, it basically covers all the things that we had learned at the time, and most of them are the same. You know, technology's changed a bit. You know, you're not like demanding to see the autoclave records or whatever. You know,
of course.
But not that we were advising people to demand, but like there's a lot of things that have changed, but at the core of finding a good tattooer hasn't changed. Good color blending hasn't changed. There's more examples of it, but like. So anyway, so that's the Get the Perfect Tattoo seminar series that we'll do. And
if you have to think on the spot about the RIT, like the Reinventing the tattoo website, the app that you guys have,
we haven't even touched on that yet.
You will say, we're gonna go into that in a second, but it's just because the question is in my mind, and you will say that is there in that app information for the general public, or is more oriented to tattoo industry, tattoo world, tattoo artists?
It's focused on tattoo artists. Like the beating heart of the Reinventing the tattoo community are the paid subscribers that, you know, have access to the full course catalog, all the videos, and they're doing every Monday at 9:00 exercises with Guy Aitchison, right? So like it's geared towards professional tattooers, you know, and there's apprentices as well as, you know, very experienced tattooers that are doing the Monday exercises, and everybody's able to. It's amazing. It's kind of like, you know, going to like the art dojo, right? And, you know, I get to just observe everybody. Like, it's amazing. I never actually have to throw my art out on the table for people to critique. I just watch it all. But they're getting better, man. It's crazy. It's awesome to watch. And so that's the main part of Reinventing, right? And then there's a Reinventing community, which is like a free, it's a free tattoo community for artists, apprentices, and for collectors. Like tattoo collectors and people that are interested in getting tattoos should learn about it.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that there's some critiques that are like, private or candid. So for instance, guys, on Monday, guys going to be doing a private critique for the Reinventing crew. So it's like 4 or 5 of the artists that are working on it every day or every other day. I don't know. Guys going to like give them a real critique, and but not that the subscribers wouldn't get a real critique, but it's like that's also presented for say 100 people, right? So like, and then there's the general public, and then there's the whole section that has access to the general public, right? So somebody can sign up to Reinventing, then they go into the to the rooms, and then there's people that are doing some critiques. The public should be learning about that.
Mm-hmm.
They should be learning.
So it's a paid website. It's a paid app.
It's a free app.
Uh-huh.
So anybody could just go to either the app stores and do a search for Reinventing the Tattoo and download the app. So it's a free community, and there's, like 5 to 7 streams a week that are happening, and they're fucking awesome. Like, Inglorious Hoko and Adrian Dominic just did one on ZBrush, with Guy on Sunday. Australia's locked down, so there's a lot of Australians that are hopping on. They're doing a figure drawing tonight. So
nice.
When I leave here, I'm going to boogie up and do that. We do the Tattoo Weekly show that's happening every Sunday.
Let me, in that one, for example, the live drawing that's going to be tonight.
Yeah.
So people that log in, you got to be watching them do the live drawing, or is the ideal is everybody kind of participate?
Yeah, they participate. So there's different events, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's, again, with 5 to 7 a week, there's a small variety. There's
who's managing that, man?
Guy and I, and Sandy and Lauren, and
So it's a group, like
it's a group effort. Yeah, like I'm by de facto the operating officer. As I was saying earlier, it's like I can't operate. I'd rather, if anybody is an awesome manager, that could take meeting notes and follow up with people to make sure that, But it is a lot. It's basically like a tattoo TV network. If you go to reinventing247.com, it looks like a fucking TV network because we have all the replays. Check it out. Open it up in the window there, and you'll see.
I don't have my eyes.
Okay. But at any given time, there's. I can look it up here too. There's 5 different replays going on, and there's discussion panels. So sometimes we'll have 4 or 5 people up there. Doing talks. There's a couple of COVID talks. There's the World Tattoo events. Alex Van Dutch is doing interviews with tattoo convention promoters. So Mickey from the London convention came on and did a full interview. And probably about half of them are participatory. So Guy is very encouraging of making sure that there's as many people participating as possible. And
you're right, man. Reinventing 24/7. Reinventingtattoo.com 24/7.
So it'll redirect you. So if people that are listening or watching, Reinventing 24/7.
Is right there talking to Laura Caesar.
Laura Sizer. That's the philosophy of tattooing. So she's an academic who is
philosopher.
She's a philosopher.
Ooh,
yeah.
I want to talk to her.
That's pretty cool. You should.
Hi, Laura. You're not listening, but I'm saying hi anyway.
And then we'll check. What are some of the other channels? I think there's probably one in Spanish. Even.
The philosophy of tattooing. Then is Reinventing Drawing Group with Jason Lisa.
Okay, so that happens every
first global biomech party.
The biomech party. Yeah. So those 2 are participatory. The Reinventing Drawing groups happen. Let's see.
And the Tattoo Collecting podcast number 27 with Mindy Robertson. So those 4 are right there in the first screen.
Yeah.
So Reinventing
247.com
20/24/7 or Reinventing. What I typed was Reinventing247.com and
it'll redirect you. Yeah.
Cool, man. I gotta check this page. I wasn't.
If you, I think if you click if you see where the channels are, there's like a next page button, and like right underneath the schedule, because I believe there's also.
You're right. Next page.
And then
you build this site?
I CTO it. I didn't program the site,
Okay,
but I recommended paying for it.
Hablemos de arte con Bruno Salvatierra.
Voila.
I was speaking to Bruno the other day. Oh man, sorry Bruno, I owe you a call. Fuck, I just remember I owe him a call.
No.
I was supposed to call yesterday.
Oh shit, he's on he's on Reinventing often. He might be watching.
Mm-hmm. I saw he was doing a kind of meetup. It was, I think, Hector Cedillo, maybe Cesar Perez was
awesome.
there, and
Yeah.
I saw they were getting all
Primo.
together to
It's
talk.
Primo.
Cesar? Who's Primo?
I don't know. No comprende. I apologize.
But you said Primo.
Yeah. That means good, right? Or best?
No, it means cousin.
Oh, it means cousin.
Primo, yeah.
Primo means cousin.
Primo?
What's the best? What's best?
Es bueno.
Es bueno. Okay. Primo maybe is Italian. I don't know.
Maybe because you can maybe use the words
I know how to say beer in all the different languages. Cerveza, por favor.
cerveza.
Dos cerveza, por favor.
And it's weird because in Spanish we say birra, kind of because you know.
But yeah, so on that website, then there's replays of at any given time of the Spanish art jams. So Bruno's been doing art jams. Everyone's speaking Spanish.
Yes, yeah.
So, and he's had a stellar lineup too. I mean, a lot of Reinvent. I mean, it's guy's been so contributive. He's contributed to the tattoo. So many people.
Who you said? Sorry, let me close this because if I cannot get distracted trying to look at what they're saying, even when I cannot listen. Mm-hmm. Sorry, man.
So Guy Aitchison's like the main spirit behind Reinventing, and he's been
okay. Let's go a little bit there. How you guys met?
We met in person.
Is that his sleeve?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was taking a look at that.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I
Man.
met him over the computer at first, so through doing TattooNow and at times.
So we're talking right now about Guy Aitchison.
Guy Aitchison.
Sorry, man, I cannot pronounce that last name. I read it everywhere. I know how to spell it. I hardly can pronounce it.
It took me a while to make sure I figured it out right, but
Aitchison.
Aitchison.
Yeah. Okay.
Aitchison.
So for people that might not know, he is pretty much one of the main representative of the bioorganic style of tattooing.
Oh yeah.
Been tattooing forever and he's somebody to admire because he's not just focused on making money in tattoos, but he's very, very interested in doing tattoos that last long time, good quality, putting his heart into his own designs and idea and how to create his design with lighting and all of that. But not just that, he's also finding always the way to educate everybody, tattoo artists and community about the right things in the tattoo. So he's the man.
I wake, like I said, I don't take it for granted any day. Like I said, my relationships with the tattooers that I work with and my wife, like every day, I'm like, okay, what could I do to make this work out even better? Because this is amazing. And he really is. Every once in a while, I find myself, on a phone call. With somebody else. I'm a partner in Reinventing. I'm not like his manager by any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes I will relay offers or whatever over to him. And again, without talking about anybody's business, I could tell you 100% that he's not in it for the money. He really.
It's his career. It's fair
art.
to say that he's gonna make money because his career and he worked hard for what he. And he educated 100%. Himself to get to the point where he is now. But definitely the perception he live out there, or at least that I can take, is that he's not there just to make the money. He's really, really... No. Let me remove those because it's just weird because they to look close. So when I move it down, then I'm like that all the time. It's so weird, man.
I'll just say there's been times where I've... pretty much offered him blank check offers. It's not like a secret. It's Guy Aitchison. And there's people that would be like, how much would it take to do X, Y, or Z? And that might actually be pretty cool. And, what he wants to do is make sure, family first, art second, and then business to the art,
beautiful.
After the art. And,
So how you guys make? How you guys involved in these projects together?
So I was doing all the websites and this is probably early 2000s, mid 2000s. And I think that there was some forum threads maybe that we had some conversations about. And then I met him maybe at the Richmond Tattoo Convention in person. I don't know. Like, it's vague. It's a while ago. Mm-hmm. I didn't really meet him until the second tattoo gathering.
Like when you start traveling to the conventions and stuff, you were as the off the map?
No. Fucking a decade before Off the Map.
Okay.
Yeah, no. My first tattoo convention was probably 94. and 95 maybe.
So
it was the year after Guy and Paul Booth went to the AmJam convention one year. And then the next year, we're all like, let's go to the AmJam convention. We got to go meet Guy and fucking Paul. And they were not there that year. But that was my first convention.
So how you decided to go to the conventions? Were you already in the designing, TattooNow, any of that?
I mean, it was very early.
Or you just like tattoos and the industry?
So like, I was getting tattooed.
Okay.
And I think Sean was like, hey, we're all going to a tattoo convention. You want to go to a tattoo convention? I'm like, yeah, I got nothing better to do. I'll fucking go to a tattoo convention. Hell yeah. Mm-hmm. You know, and then we're like hanging out at the diner. You know, it was probably it could have been my first time with an extended trip with tattooers. You know, and they're all like, you know, you got a problem peeing? Oh yeah, man, I fucking got a wicked problem peeing. Like, oh yeah, me too. And I'm like, what the fuck are they all talking about? You know, well, it wasn't until my third fucking piercing that it really became a sprinkler system. And I was like, oh, you guys are fucking piercing your peckers so much, they're like sprinkler systems. Okay.
I never heard that before, man.
This is what I was
so confused.
You know? And, you know, again, it's, that's, you know, the tattoo world was fucking crazy. And I'm not, like, I am a prudy, New Englandy computer geek, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, who, like, I'm not, like, I don't trust any large group of people.
Mm-hmm.
None of them. Like I want the government and the economy, or the you know the businesses should be as strong as the government and as strong as the spiritual entities, so that they could all kill each other at any given time. And anybody that will criticize one without criticizing the other three, at least other two pillars of power, are really missing out, because all three are gonna fucking take over if they can. Or you know, and again, there might be more than three powers, but. I don't know.
So I
met Guy at the second tattoo gathering. So the first one, I was working real hard, and about a week or two before.
I'm so sorry. So the second tattoo gathering, Jim's Peak.
At Jimmy's Peak, yeah, 2009.
He came to tattoo?
He came to teach tattoo. I think he tattooed. I know that he was coming there to teach. You know, and again, the focus is to teach. He may or may not have tattooed. There were a lot of tattooers there. You know, Bob came to tattoo that year. But anyway, so that was the first time where I
think that was the one where I got tattooed my left arm. Man, I'm so sorry. I wish I remember the name of the artist, but it was somebody that I met through the website. I saw the name, and then I reached to him probably on Facebook back then, or Instagram, right? You know, I don't remember.
It wasn't Instagram. No,
right, it was Facebook or something.
It wasn't even Facebook. 2008, you probably emailed through the website.
Yeah, 2009, the second one.
2009, probably. Yeah.
I would say that
MySpace did exist. But one of the things I do is I make it really easy if somebody's on your website to click that appointment button. Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things that makes our convention websites unique, is that everybody's portfolio goes up, and not just like, you know, click on a picture to open up a Lightbox picture or whatever, but like you click on it, it goes to a page that has that artist info on it.
Nice, man. So yeah, I booked that session, and I went there, and I was super amazed of everything, the location. First, I was like, who the fuck want to make a convention so far away, man? When I gonna get to that place? I was driving in the mountains.
They gotta be out of their fucking minds.
Probably stopping to pull a map to help myself instead of using GPS. And my car has no GPS or anything like that. So I was like, what the fuck? Not servicing my phone.
No service on the phone.
So I was like, what the fuck I am, man? And I finally made it there. And then I was amazed. Wow, this place, the mountain, the buildings are beautiful.
Wow.
Then I walk in, and I saw a bunch of friends. I remember, who was there that I can remember? Probably Salgado.
Juan was there a couple of years.
Juan was there in that one. And
he did the poster art for the Keystone show. He's amazing. I love Juan.
Yeah, I'm just trying to remember who was there, man, because it was somebody in my next booth. That it was somebody that I admired, because back then I was barely starting to tattoo. You know?
Cool.
So I didn't know many people.
Everyone that makes it there is great.
It's beautiful, man. It's great. It was a great experience getting tattooed there and hanging around, seeing all these people working and stuff.
To that point, I am so not eager, because it's a really fucked up time to run an event, but anticipating going back. We're going back in a month.
How many years?
We'll be at Jiminy Peak.
It's been since 2009?
I have a couple lost years where I got the shit kicked out of me, and I ended up having to cancel the last Paradise Tattoo Gathering in 2018.
18.
So I think I did it in 2007, or I think we did it in 2017.
You did it every year since 2008? Every year, 2017?
No. To wrap up my point that I never finished before,
Yeah, sorry,
is
yeah.
all of these events are like a symphony to me, right? They're all kind of instruments. So like sometimes we do tattoo gatherings, sometimes we do art retreats, sometimes we do conferences. Sometimes if the time is right, we do them all in the same year, and sometimes we don't do anything for a couple of years and let people build up in anticipation. Sometimes when we lay off for a couple of years, people fill in the blanks. Or no, they don't fill in the blanks. They fill in the absences, in which case we don't need to do those events again. There's other events that do those things. And, and it's always kind of evolving, right? So this year, the BYOB is a completely unique, well, it's not a completely unique event. It's kind of like an art, it's like the difference, it's like we're webcasting out a lot of the Reinventing / art retreat.
Let me ask you. So sorry. So this year is called the Paradise Retreat BYOB, or just the Paradise BYOB?
Exactly. Yeah.
I was so confused when I saw that name. I was like, you don't battle?
Well, exactly. The thing is, I almost wanted it to be a little confusing because the fact is, like, we're in the middle of a pandemic. Like, so I didn't want anybody to show up and be like, this isn't what I expected. Right? Because I'm like, I don't know. Like, I went at one point when things were kind of opening up over the summer, it was like, we might actually be able to have tattooing. We might be able to do a kind of a full show, But then it was like, oh, no. We can't do a full show. It's like, and in some ways, but in some ways we're almost, the urge to pack as many people into a place as possible is, working against the fact that we don't want to pack in as many people into a place as possible, right?
Definitely.
Now we are webcasting everything. Right, so
that's gonna be the first year, right?
No. We've been webcasting for forever. Yeah. No. And Guy has been webcasting probably even before, only because he's older. Like I said, we're both old computer geeks. But he was webcasting in rave parties and art rave parties in Chicago, like way back in the day.
Wow.
This fella, Steve Collins, that we still catch up with once in a while. He works for Roku, but it was long. Like that guy's been streaming for it must be like 30 years now, right? 25, 30 years.
Wow.
I've probably been streaming like 15.
Oh, okay.
I did a lot more video producing. So before we were streaming, we were doing video producing. So we would produce videos and do DVDs, and then eventually, we moved into webcasting. I think there was a fellow, Matt, who was like wicked into Twitch.
Cool.
So he was like an intern, and he was like, "I'm into Twitch, and we like to stream the fighting." And I'm like, "Well, that's kind of cool." And he streams video games. He's like, "I stream video games. I stream fighting." I'm like, "That's pretty cool. We like to do videos all the time," and we've done some streaming. He's like, "I like to do it all the time." I'm like, "Do you want to help us do it all the time?" And he's like, "Let's do it all the time."
Oh, that's cool.
So
who was that?
This guy Matt O'Brien, and he works for like chess, one of the big chess companies.
Okay.
And but yeah, and then again, it was we were doing stuff similar before, but like he was definitely a good driving force, and it had a lot of energy. It was really fun. I remember the first time he did he did the tech for the first live webcast, right? So this is I don't know if it was Stefano. Like Stefano was in one of the very first ones we did, but it was a shit show. We were like connecting up.
That's TattooNow.
This was TattooNow. So we did it at Off the Map. So we had the tattoo shop, but it was TattooNow TV. TattooNow is like the technology end of it, and we connected up all the computers. We got the cameras out, and it was webcasting. It was janky, and it was, it was very difficult to get something that was, we felt comfortable with using at the end of the night, but we did.
Okay.
And I was like, holy shit, that was crazy. I can't believe we did that. And Matt, I don't know if he remembers it this way, but I remember him being like wicked sweaty, like, oh man, I didn't expect that at all. I'm like, that went to be as expected. I mean, it was fucking stressful and shit broke, but like, get ready. We're about to do this for the next 6 weeks until we could do a show without a hitch. And, and then arguably the more equipment, as the more equipment you get, the more hitches there are to, hitch. So now we just have bigger problems. But it was fun. So we were doing a lot of the first streaming also.
Cool. So I'm excited about this one coming on, man, because I'm going to be there.
That's awesome. The ability to bring together a lot of podcasters and a lot of people that are making shows is pretty cool. So Reinventing, we run a bunch of the shows live. Presumably this is still going live on it. But
it's the first time ever that I am doing the podcast and it's going live at the same time.
Yeah. There's
it's scary because sometimes I talk so much shit. But
tell me about it.
So far, it's the 11. I have 11 episodes. It's pretty new, my podcast. And I haven't have, is that proper English?
I have not had to.
I haven't have not to erase anything that I said. Because I didn't say, I hope anything that's offensive or whatever.
Not that I want to encourage people to find them, but one of our events is drunk critique.
I saw that.
Yeah. And I've definitely, like I was saying, there's a couple of lost years. There's a couple of real tender years where, it's probably not the best to get real drunk and talk about it, online. But every once in a while, I'm like talking, like Bob Tyrell will be doing the guest or doing a judging or whatever, and then like I get kicked out of the house, because I'm being too loud. So like I'm like walking around with my headphones on and my phone, still producing the drunk critique. But then everyone, will die off. I gotta go. We've been doing this shit fucking 6 hours. I gotta get out of here. Okay, cool. And Bob's like, I'm still drinking and fucking talking. I'm still drinking talk. And then I get back home after my walk for an hour, and I'm like, there's some people in the chat room like, Gabe, you're still streaming, right? I'm like, but I try to be as honest as I possibly can as all the time.
Yeah,
including with my fuck ups. I fucked up plenty of shit. But like, I do talk too much to too many people to try to like,
Yeah.
And if
I don't imagine how it will be to create a persona of somebody that you want to portray to the world that you are, and try to keep it up all the time.
Oh, I've seen a lot of people. You can only keep it up for so long.
Then you start showing your own faces, and then people gonna be like,
the people that could do the most damage are awesome at that.
Yes.
I realized, the most venomous, toxic people are not obvious.
Yeah.
There's mimics. Like I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. So there's a lot of like archetypal.
Say that again. You played that?
I played a lot of Dungeons and Dragons growing up.
Tell me a little bit about that game, because so far you said you're super geek and you like Dungeons and Dragons, and my favorite show is Big Bang Theory. And
what is it?
The Big Bang Theory.
I don't know it.
You don't know the Big Bang Theory?
No.
Maybe my accent. You should know it.
No.
Big Bang.
The Big Bang Theory.
Okay, I knew it was my accent.
Theory.
I knew it was my accent.
Yeah.
You ever watch that show?
I have not. No.
It's the only show that I watched from episode 1 all the way to the end, and when it ends, I start over again.
Okay. So
it's the only show I have done that. I never watch shows.
I'll give it a shot. The TV show that hits home the closest would be *Halt and Catch Fire*. Halt, HALT, like halt,
halt
and catch fire.
I don't know.
It's an early computer programming. Well, I hadn't heard of it until the show. In theory, it's so I'm not saying this as fact. I'm saying this as lore for the TV show. *Halt and Catch Fire* was like a early hacking code to like restart the computer or something like *Halt and Catch Fire*. I don't know, but the TV show is awesome, and it's about it's like about startup computer geek culture, and like starts in Texas, moves to Silicon Valley. It's brutal, like and there's a couple of characters in there. The point is, I suppose. The sharks, like the people that could do the most damage, are not the people that are going to be like, they're not obvious. They tell you what you want to hear. They compliment you in the ways that you need to hear compliments. Often, or not often necessarily, but the real good ones will deliver to you something that you really need. And I don't know. Yeah, there's also, and again, it's the same thing in tattoo world. Like if you start, and I've watched this happen tons of times. And it's something that you said earlier sparked something like with so many different stories, but you see so many artists acquire, reputation and influence. And I mean, that's when it fucking starts to get really fucking freaky, right? And then that's when the real game starts. Like when you actually have real influence, and when you start picking up $500 to $1,000 a day or $1,500 a day, like, and if you do that shit before you're mature. I didn't end up. I've never had a tattooer pay rate, but I ended up getting a lot of influence, and a lot of eyeballs, again, millions of people at times. And, before I really understood what the gravity of what that meant, And I mean, I've talked politics online till people, they showed up at my shop with guns.
No fucking way.
On Christmas Eve.
No way.
I'll talk about it because the motherfucker's dead. He died of cancer. He was probably pretty bitter.
Who? The person who
He showed up at the tattoo shop with guns, you know.
Because you were talking politics? Something against his point?
I have a tendency to... I'm not an alpha, but like, I don't even know if it exists, but like, if there's something that exists that's like so beta, it pisses off alphas. That's me. Like there's, you know... but, you know... I would be very vocal in front of millions of people sometimes. And at that point, it's just a numbers game before you find somebody that's going to show up
Of
at Christmas Eve with guns. So, you know, I didn't talk politics online for years after. Clearly, I didn't talk about... that was a fucking horrible... I mean, it was a horrible situation.
Tell me about it.
Well, I don't need to get too far into it. I don't want
just the basics of the story. I don't need to know the names or anything.
I don't want to dive... I mean, when I processed it, you know, I don't want to die for my beliefs. I mean, I guess I will. I definitely don't want to die for being a communist that gives a shit about guns. Like, you know, and if there was anything that could convince me someone shouldn't have a 30-round clip, it's if they show up at my shop on Christmas Eve looking for me. You know, I just don't want crazy people to have guns. Like, you know, and I don't know. Like I said, it's a tough one to talk about because it's so politically charged. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up shooting guns. I don't give a shit. Like, but again, I just don't want... I want there to be okay, so this is how I'll sum this up if we're going to get here. Like there should be a set of gun responsibility. And the way I see it as a computery guy, as a business guy, like if you get drunk and fucking run over me, my kid gets a payout from your insurance company. If you get drunk and shoot me, we're shit out of luck. You know, no one is granted the power of, you know, of to be able to kill somebody. So to have a responsibility to have those tools, I feel is 100% fair. And ultimately, you know, again, like I said, if there's one thing that should convince me that people shouldn't have guns is if they personally show up looking for
right?
Because that's not an issue that I talk about online.
Like,
and,
I cannot imagine the guy show up with a gun in your place to say like you were so grown. People should carry guns
so I could take them away. You know, you want to take away my guns? I'll come up there so you could take them away. I'm like, I never said anything about taking away your guns.
Yeah,
man. I don't give a shit about your guns. You know, we were probably talking about tax policy or something fucking, you know, often, because I'm a business guy. So often when I talk in politics, I'm like, you know, at the end of it, okay, you do your business your way, I'll do mine my way, and we'll see which one, you know, makes it to the top first, right? And depending on what your definition of the top is, we may have different definitions. But,
yes.
You know, but ultimately... You know, the internet draws out, and again, like I was saying, it's a numbers game. So you play that shit in front of too many people, and you're bound to attract people. But to be clear, the ultimate solution is making sure that the education is healthy, educated, and has access to opportunity. Yeah. And like all of the band-aids on any of the shit won't go away until, you know, we do that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Sorry, I asked to explain more about it. Who cares about that right now? At least, I mean, it's a lot of people care, and definitely I got my own concerns or ideas or whatever about all of that. It's just I don't like to discuss it like this kind of publicly because, again, everybody got to take your words as they please and interpret them as they please, and 100%. At the end, it might even completely different to what you thought or you try to explain. So you'd rather, if you have to talk about anything like that, if you really have to, just talk to somebody front to front in a cafe or whatever, rather than in a podcast.
I mean, it's weird. I took a lot of influence from Baxter, from Nick. Like way back in the day, I met him, you know, 25 years ago or 20 some odd years ago at Darkside, and he like married his politics with his art like right away. And you know, I don't want to shy away from the conversation of how we could all move together to create a better community.
Definitely.
We're stuck in it. We're all living here on this earth, right? And but it's fucking crazy. Like I was saying, I don't want to get shot for being a communist, you know, when I'm an international businessman.
I know.
And unfortunately, the internet is not mature enough sometimes to handle that, right?
I know. It's a very complicated place, the internet, man.
Yeah.
It's so hard. But anyway, so going back to, so how is you in there now doing the reinventing the tattoo or the gathering, all of that? Now we are guy.
So yeah. So let's see. About a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we started shifting Reinventing over into new technology. So that's what's allowing us to do all the streaming all the time.
Yeah, that was what I tried to meant when I said, like, if it's gonna be the first time that you guys doing the kind of broadcasting of an event like this, is what I was trying to say. Not like broadcasting in general, more like.
But I've broadcast, like the last tattoo gathering, we broadcast the stage and we broadcast the seminar
live.
Yeah.
Oh,
nice.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Sweet,
we dig this shit live.
I
Like I was saying, we've been doing it live. Like I said, and I understood your English was perfect. Guy and I have been streaming for over 10 years,
cool.
And maybe 20, at various places. We went to Alex Gray's place to stream the stuff.
Nice, man.
And I love live.
Like here in New York?
Yeah. It was
it's a nice bar there, right?
It wasn't, was it at the new place? That must have been at the new place.
Or in New York, still.
I don't know. It was 10,
I mean,
10
both
to
are in New
15
York,
years
but...
ago.
Yeah.
It was probably like 15 years ago.
That probably was the previous place.
I think it was a previous place. It was the previous place.
Yeah.
And so no, but and live has, and again, it's that extra element of it's live. We can't edit this stuff. If I talk about some asshole, then they're gonna hear about it because their friends listening. And but anyways, it's there's an extra level of honesty and tension. And the other thing is, as you know about editing, like if we were like I guess we're not doing this live, I know we're doing it live, but when we're doing like the live stuff, like we're not editing,
I know.
So we just.
But it's kind of fun because you save a lot of work and time. But if you said something very fucked up, it's there.
Yeah, I've had some people at Drunk Critique be like, "Hey, could you take that out?" I'm like, nah, man, it's already been delivered on 3 different platforms. So like, even if I edit it on YouTube, it's not fixing the Facebook or the other things. But it's fun. So I guess I don't need to. I was going to start asking you some questions about how you started up the podcast and stuff. But it's fun. Like doing the media part. It's pretty fun. I usually do prefer a producer role, and that's what I do for Reinventing. So I guess to Reinventing to the path of what we're doing. Basically helping produce 5 to 7 shows dedicated for artists. Maybe about half of them are encouraging people to beam in, and then I help Guy with it. I'm basically like the chief technology officer of Reinventing, right? So I deal with all of the different technologies. And same thing with TattooNow. So like I've been doing TattooNow websites for 20 years. Now that Reinventing is kind of together, we have this community, the free community that's in the app. We have the Canon, the Reinventing the Tattoo Canon. It was the 3-ring binder. So this is, I don't know if you remember, I used to have a 3-ring binder like 20 years ago. 95, 93. He told me recently, I should get these milestones. So when I'm talking, I got it. I think his first 3-ring binder was in 93.
Wow.
So that was the first time that he was teaching seminars and put out what was the predecessor to the book. So then it shifted into the book and the DVDs.
That Reinventing book?
Reinventing, yeah. It was like the college textbook.
I have the book. I have it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's here or in my shop.
It's that book has touched so many people. It's out of control.
Yeah, it was a good book, man.
It's great. And then about 8 or 9 years ago, so when he came to the tattoo gathering in 2009, the second tattoo gathering, we launched tattooeducation.com. So that was kind of the outlet for DVDs and other educational materials for all different artists. And then maybe it was a year later that we moved Reinventing into the digital format. Mm-hmm. So instead of him having to publish books, and ship them all around the world or find printers in the States, by moving it digital, he could like log in and then update things, kind of in real time. No, I usually end up dealing with the updates because he should be tattooing and creating art and not updating shit. Mm-hmm. Whereas, but the tools are easy to update. The whole point is, and then, well, like I said, so about 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, I was focusing on I ran off the map for 12 years, and that was the beneficiary of my tools and of my brain. About 3 or 4 years ago, that shifted pretty abruptly, and that gave me the opportunity to basically take over TattooNow and the events again, or not take it over again, but have that as my focus. So, and I'll say something, so the tattoo shop was the focus of my time for about 12 years, mm-hmm. and it was the main beneficiary of my computer geek skills and my business skills. Now there were definitely I cobbled it together I didn't own a business. I think that was it was my third business. I had like a t-shirt business. And then I was a freelance computer programmer running around the world. And then I was like, I could do this for tattooers. And then I was like, wait, tattooers like don't actually know how to use my tool. Like I could use my tools to the best of my ability. I could sell tools and help you get a lot of business. But like if I was using those tools for me, I could get a boku business. Like I can go crazy with this shit because you're not a computer geek like I am. And so the tattoo shop became that beneficiary. But there were fundamental business things that I didn't understand. And my wife warned me off of 95% of them. There were policies that I didn't put in place about fraternization. We just let everybody have relations. Again, I don't need to get into it. What I need to acknowledge is that I built a business into a multi-million-dollar business without the proper skill set. And so I let people.
It's hard, man, because sometimes we I have this idea in my mind. I want to do this little thing or whatever just to get some extra money or to promote my own business or whatever it is.
It was to promote tattoo.
And suddenly that thing explodes huge, more like bigger of what you ever expected, and you just caught there in the middle, right?
It's very much like weather, and actually the bio art and visionary art helps visualize intangible forces at work that are like that. And to make the long story short, I grew the shop with the opportunity, not within health. So it became a very large but not healthy entity. And it was awesome, and so many great things happened out of it. And I'm not, this is probably one of the first times I'm, talking about off the map on a podcast that people are going to listen to, because it's tender. Again, it was as awesome as it was. It ended exactly in a way that I would never have imagined or wanted, and. But that has shifted my focus. And again, so for years, I would teach in my seminar mission and values, right? Like, what is your mission? What are your values? Make sure that, and we defined them. And part of what happened is we shifted the culture of the shop 6-7 years in. People were attracted to the effect, not to the process. We needed to make sure that we baked the process, the mission, the values, what we were really doing into it, when
there is another chopping you future visions. I mean, you learn a lot about
if there is, my wife will have veto power.
Good.
Because and it is good, and we'll keep it small. We would have to keep it small. Maybe I'll partner with some people. Maybe someone could just open up a shop, and I could have an office in it. I get about 5 to 10 tattoo inquiries a day. And about 3 or 4 months ago, I started really working on TattooNow again in earnest. TattooNow, Reinventing is TattooNow's biggest client. Now that Reinventing's together, I shifted gears. So I'm getting more inquiries. It's tough being broke and freelancing and having a lot of tattoo inquiries every day that don't go anywhere. But it was a lot of pain for a lot of people. Some of it unnecessary. And for my family and for my wife in particular, who foresaw it, watched me argue against, what her advice was, and then to watch it not only, it took away her security, it took away my kid's security. It's Cecilia. Okay, so we have to get past this, but we can get through it. Well, I'm trying to get a light version. We'll get but this is the thing. Like when you're sacrificing your time for your tattoo shop, make sure that you're sacrificing it for the right people, right? And make sure that the right people are sacrificing their time for you. I'm not even trying to put any blame on anybody else. But when it came down to it, my daughter was like, why did you sacrifice your time with me for a tattoo shop that didn't stick up for you?
So your daughter, how old is she right now?
Now she's 18.
18, went to college?
She's in college. And actually, because of my shit show and because of my financial hardships, she's actually able to afford a college that she can get to. It's amazing. And my wife teaches at universities. My daughter's awesome. She got her first professional tattoo from Thea Duskin about a month ago.
Nice, man.
And it's great. She's got,
How many other tattoos she has that are not done professional?
More than I want to,
Man, she got such a big school at home. What is she doing getting non-professional tattoo? That rebel, right?
In part because of reaction, what happened with the shop. She grew up there. She watched them all behave the way they did in times of crisis, and did not want to get. Again, part of it is a reaction. So it pissed me off. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing again? Like, are you kidding me? Like you know,
She's probably like, yeah, I'd rather go to this guy that is kind of a little sketchy, but he's nice person, right? That this professional that might ended up being
it was teenage stick and poke shit. You know, it was our friends, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's okay.
You know, it is what it is. But the point is, she now has a really awesome professional tattoo from one of our friends, and now when she's at college as a freshman, she's got this really sick tattoo. You know, and it's people compliment it, and it's again, it's at. I used to really argue against the fact that just because you got a pretty tattoo on your shoulder, that you should feel better about yourself. Like inherently, I'm like, beauty's only skin deep. Even when I'm,
But that's all people's mind. You know what I mean?
But it wasn't. Like,
and you try to encourage that in your kids. My daughter is 13, so I keep trying to, enforce those kind of concepts.
Yeah,
just to help we her develop. Sure. But at the end of the day, her mind is like, no, I have to look good. What the fuck? You're crazy. I cannot go to school. Like, you know what I mean?
I do, but like I am a weird computer geek, right? So like, and I am in the beautification business, so it's like I acknowledge it, and well, this is what I'm saying. I benefit from it, right? So at the same time that I'm like, what the fuck, you're cooler now that you got that than you were before, but I feel a little bit better about myself.
Yeah.
And I'm getting a little bit more self-confidence, and then years later I realized, I was like, wait a minute, this is why we're doing this. This is like people can't, what I realized is like, first you start acting like a better person because you have the tattoo, and then over the years you actually just become a better person.
Yeah, that's an option. Some people are start acting like an asshole, but I know.
Exactly, yeah. Not everybody. And again,
I know what you're saying, and it makes sense too.
It's an amplification.
It's an amplification of who you are.
So, and or who you are at the time.
At the time, yeah, of course.
You could also use it to conjure who you want to be.
Yeah, at least who you think you want to be, and you kind of picture yourself of you need this kind of little mark on you to help you to get to that point, kind of.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, obviously the journey's different for everybody, right? But that's why, like, that faith upside down on someone's wrist, if that experience is awesome, and I know usually it takes about 15 years, and then the tattooers are like, fuck it, yeah, sure, I'll do it, and I'll give you an awesome time, as opposed to before then they're just like, yeah, okay, sure, sit down, I'll do it. It's upside down, right?
I'm that person still.
But the thing is, like, if you have to do it, and you show them such a spectacular time, they're coming back with their friends for more better stuff. And I'm not encouraging anybody to get upside down tattoos on their wrist. But sometimes that is what it takes to get through the door to open themselves up to the larger beauty of tattooing,
Yeah, definitely.
And certainly, if we could find tattoo collectors that'll start like mapping out positive and negative shapes, on bodysuit templates, with maybe sections for some traditional work, but this is where you want to put your big black and gray piece and have your bio stuff, or whatever. Like the sooner people can really start thinking about their bodysuit, clearly the better, because I mean,
you gotta look better overall.
Eventually, you're gonna get a bodysuit, or you're gonna get larger work. And as tattooers, it really feels, every once in a while, a tattooer will be like, well, maybe if they get a sleeve. I'm like, did you just say maybe if they get a sleeve? Like, and I don't even care if they don't get a sleeve, but you should be designing that fucking piece.
Yeah, definitely.
So that they get a sleeve.
I try to. That is a recurring question on me with my clients. More when the new clients is like, are you planning to do a sleeve or just that one piece?
You don't even have to ask that question.
I try because, for example, if I do a sleeve, right?
So sorry, can I just rephrase that? So,
yeah, please.
I would plant that as an idea seed, but you know the answer already. If you do your job right.
No, yeah, but this is the thing. Like,
now I'm being an asshole.
No, not at all. It's valid point. Like, if I want to do one piece and this client want one piece, even if he say I don't want more tattoos, I still have to find a way to let it be in a point that when you add more because you might change your mind, it's still easy to make it flow, right?
Absolutely.
That's we good on that part.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is sometimes, for example, people is like, I want my sleeve to stop here, right? Or here because that chair or whatever. So I'm always try to, you want to do your hand in some point or no? Because you're doing a full sleeve that might require a hand, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not going to encourage you to do your hand because for work or whatever reason it is. But if you're planning to do the hand, it's rather better to stop a little higher so I have room to connect later the hand or whoever going to do it rather than this limited amount of space, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I try to do.
Yeah.
It's like,
and I might propose you already know the answer to that question.
Yeah.
So, I mean, so not that you want to clearly we should not be presuming and making decisions for clients.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their body is their body. They can do whatever the fuck they want to with it. And but you, like I said, you know, the sleeve stops at the knuckles.
Yeah.
You know, and if you don't tattoo that part of it, that's okay, because the client might not be ready for it. You know, but I would have that design in mind.
Yes, yeah.
You know?
No, it's cool. But, you know, sometimes, like, you finish the full sleeve, and it rather looks better when you create a hard edge than leaving it fading by little parts.
Yeah.
Sometimes, you know what I'm saying? That visual effect when it looks clean, you know, like with the Japanese, how they do the end here with the little curves inside of the bicep. You cannot tell them leave it open in case they want to do the armpit. No, that's part of the design, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But if that armpit is coming, you'd rather leave it open. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
There's certain design that kind of look nicer when it's a clean edge, and some that you can still give it away.
I suppose, again, everybody's human beings.
Of course.
We're dealing with times and places and budgets. I suppose the utopia for that would be like, you know, if they're, well, and if they're a sleeve client, then they're more likely to be somebody that's a regular that, you know, you could leave open for a year or two, you know, and then when it's really apparent that they're not going to get their hand done, you know, you can close it.
Yeah, I learned the hard way, that part, because my brother, he was living in Venezuela. Mm-hmm. So in Venezuela, in that small town where we come from, still people was being judged by tattoos, let's say.
Judged, yeah.
They still were being judged by tattoos.
Negatively.
Yes.
Because you could judge somebody positively.
No, that was kind of like tattoos are for criminals still, right? Yeah. And we're talking about 2000 whatever. Yeah. Still people were a little close-minded about it. More because the small town mentality, right? Already in Caracas, Yomiko was already tattooing in Caracas and killing it. And killing it, and Darwin Enriquez and all those guys, right? Axel Lopez. All of those guys were already cleaning in Caracas.
And is Hector from Venezuela too?
No,
he's Ecuador. He's
from Ecuador. And Cesar is from Peru. But these guys, right, from Venezuela were already killing it.
Carlos Lopez?
Carlos Lopez? I don't know where Carlos Lopez is.
I'm thinking the guy
I think he's Ecuadorian too. Where are you from, Carlos?
But sorry,
I know him from the show, but I don't remember. But okay, my brother, he came from vacation the first time he came over. And you want some ice? I was trying to find where to put it, but I didn't find it. Anyway, so my brother was like, I want to do this much. I don't want it to show, right? He got that tattoo. He went back to Venezuela. He came back on vacations again a year later, whatever. I want to go half sleeve. So I'm like, dude, are you sure? You don't want to go all the way down at this point? But no, you crazy. In Venezuela, he's still, my town is like 100 degrees all year long. It's super hot. And he's walking around with long sleeve t-shirts because he don't want the tattoo to show. He's like, no, just half sleeve, I'm sure. It's already hard when you do something planned for this much room to connect something else
all the way around.
For this much. Just connect something that makes sense is hard.
Yeah.
But he was positive, so I didn't want to fight it.
Yeah.
He got to live in a different country, it's different, whatever.
Wow.
He was supposed to be here for around 4-month vacation or something. Like, no vacation. Like, he came to visit and stay for a little while. So, before he left, in the same tree, he said, let's do 3/4 sleeve. So, every time I'm adding a little more to that sleeve, it's making it so hard to make a so, that's what I'm trying to say, It's like sometimes you climb and it's like...
Oh, yeah. No, see, I
and
guess
it was no hard lines, but still, like I have a half koi fish coming from a wave. Then I have to do the other half of the koi fish out of the side of the wave. Something like that, let's say.
You might design the whole sleeve to be done in 4 points.
I know.
Not that clearly it's a significant amount more work, and you couldn't necessarily do that with like every client. But on the other hand, you might... I think every tattoo should probably be designed. And this is, again, it's not practical. I'm not saying it's practical.
It is not practical.
But
when you have limited amount of time to design,
that should be the starting. It feels like so it feels like that should be the starting point. A client comes in, they want to get a swallow on their forearm, right? Like, okay, cool, but like, what is the rest of the arm is going to get done with that swallow on the forearm, and because that's the way that like a tailor would cut up, if you were to a tailor would cut up the skin. That's how I would advise size. It's like, when someone's like big, small, it's like, wait, just size it for the skin part. And imagine that a tailor, is taking that part. That's like the size that it should be. which really is kind of like a forearm, or I guess the short sleeves and the half sleeves, and I mean, there's obviously all sorts of design considerations for all sorts of different types of personalities and cultures and all that.
Yeah. Anyways, so how do you feel about these new gatherings coming on?
So one of the main questions is like, what the hell is it, right? It's a BYOB. What you were saying earlier, like it's a BYOB. And so what we'll have is a BYOB, it traditionally would be bring your own booze.
All right, wait, let's put it like, what is the next event that is coming on?
Okay, so the next event that we're doing is October 3rd to the 6th. It's a week start because it's Sunday to Wednesday.
That by itself is already different. It's not a weekend. It's
not a weekend.
Weekday.
It's a week start because technically I think Sunday is the first day of the week. We asked tattooers, when do you want to do an event? And they were like, Sunday, Mondays are my days off. Mondays, Tuesdays are my day off, or Tuesday, Wednesdays are my day off. Actually, they didn't say that. We just made it Wednesday because we want to do a 4-day
to make
event.
one more extra day,
Exactly.
Sure.
And so that's the day. Those are we plan it for that, and we will be streaming out nearly all of the Reinventing the Tattoo regular programs. So we'll have our Reinventing drawing groups. We'll have some art jams. We'll have Hablamos del Arte con Bruno.
The what?
The Hablamos del Arte.
Hablemos de arte.
It's my accent.
Perfect. It was good. It was great.
So we'll do that. We'll do Live in the Castro. Haley Adams is coming out.
Salvatierra. What is his last name? Bruno.
I'm not gonna try.
Okay. Yeah.
Bruno S.
Bruno S.
Then so Haley Adams, Live from the Castro. So she does like an LGBTQ plus podcast based out of San Francisco. She'll also be teaching a seminar.
She's gonna be there.
She'll be there. Yeah. So there's a fair amount of people that are coming up, in person to do the streams, and we have a lot of space. So I mean, we have a whole ski resort, right? So normally when we'd be able to fit maybe 1,000 people, we'll have like 100. We'll have and lots of space. I don't have enough brain cells to lose anything to this bug. And there's way too much sugar in my blood system to fuck with clotting or any of that shit. Like, so, like the point is we have a lot of space. We'll be doing a lot of webcasting, so people are certainly encouraged to show up. We don't want to, and people are showing up, but they can webcast it. And
so let's see. Is oriented or created thinking about tattoo artists rather than a general public that's coming to...
The general public is invited to come out on Wednesday to buy art and stuff. And we'll also sell art online, but it's for artists. It's not strictly for artists because we do want people to come and buy stuff. And Jiminy Peak is open to the public, so there will be people that are, it's a ski resort. I mean, in October, so it'll be like foliage season. All of the leaves will be changing. Yeah, we'll be doing a plein air painting. Renee Little's coming out to do plein air painting. Who? Renee Little, she's in Oklahoma.
Okay.
And Thea Duskin's going to be doing mixed media. We've got Hunter Spanks doing watercolors. So, I mean, the focus is on webcasting, the podcasts, also seminars.
Okay.
Discussion panels.
For the people that is coming, let's say I want to do just one day.
Sure.
As a tattoo artist, let's say I want to go one day, not as a podcaster.
Sure.
To work, but
awesome.
to for somebody that want to come and enjoy that, get to see.
Awesome.
So they pay 1 day entrance ticket, and that entrance give them access to paint, or they have to pay separate every stuff.
So the day ticket. So in this instance, for the day ticket, it's $25 a day. It gets you access to the stage. So that includes interviews, whatever the stage events are of the day.
Those are like indoor stage, kind of.
So it's an indoor stage. Yeah. Although again, it's an indoor stage. There's some things that we might be able to pull outside if we want to. But again, it's weather depending. I think the band might be outside. Point being is on the stage, it's a stage ticket. So this is what we're webcasting. And, we do discussion panels. There'll be interviews. Tony Rommel is interviewing Hernandez. So that'll be pretty sick.
Robert Hernandez?
Yeah.
Tommy and Robert going to be there?
No. Tony will be there. Robert's going to beam in.
Okay.
So it'll probably be about a third of the people beaming in. So Guy's beaming in. Mike DeVries is beaming in. And then Hernandez is beaming in. But I think everybody else on the list is still planning on coming. But again, it's pandemic time, man. So
yes.
The goal is to webcast it so that if people don't want to show up, they could just shift their ticket to webcast. And so that 1 day ticket. But if they want to come up for 1 day, they come up, they get the ticket. they could watch everything that's going on the stage. There'll also be
so the ticket gives them access to the auditorium where the stage is, let's say. So
Correct,
they can sit there and listen to the
and like the
conversation
art and the art hall, and yes.
So
and then there's separate seminars from there. So then each day there's somewhere between 2 and 5 different seminars.
And each seminar is priced separately, so people can pick and choose which one they want to do. And
this year, yeah. I mean, you could get a bundle. If you wanted to just get them all, then I've got a ticket so you can get them all.
Oh, cool.
But it's $100 for the 4 days, and then like $100 to. I mean, I think maybe the most expensive seminar is $300.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Smith will be doing like some individual consulting, and he's doing a seminar.
Awesome.
But you can get him for like an hour of individual consulting, and different things like that. So the goal is that we keep it affordable and a la carte. I mean, we do other events like the conference. It's like the $1,000. Everyone takes all the same seminars and whatnot. I don't necessarily want to encourage people to stay in the same room for fucking long periods of time.
You gotta get bored. You gotta get sleepy. You got so much things to do also.
I mean,
and enjoy.
In this case, also we're in a pandemic. If we could take a lot of breaks, I mean, and I'm sure all the other events that are doing stuff are being as safe as they can be and have plenty of air. But again, for us, it's like, being able to walk over to the seminar room and then walk back, and to do things a la carte is, that's what's right for this event.
Okay. And now people that are going to be painting, for example, is set up for this to be like, okay, let's say, for example, for the 4 days, from 3 to 4, you're going to be all painting in that area, and it's going to be like...
No, basically, they're set up like booths.
They're set up like
the artist spaces, I believe we have 8-foot tables, I think is what we end up with. Indoors, but they can be brought outdoors.
Okay.
And again, a lot of this, part of the beauty of Jiminy Peak is that a lot of people would already just go outdoors.
Because you want to enjoy the landscape. Is so beautiful.
But everyone will have a table that's in an indoor. Anybody that buys a painting space, and the painting spaces are open to anybody that wants to come and paint. It's not invite only for the painting spaces.
Okay, so if somebody that is not a tattoo artist, for example, but enjoy painting or want to kind of learn more, living the experience, watching somebody that they might like, the artist that they follow, whatever,
perfect.
they're gonna be there. They can come, pay for the.
Oh yeah.
So
there's no tattoo secrets. So there's no tattoo secrets being told. So we're encouraging any artist, any apprentices, any apprentice wannabes. Show up and make art. Absolutely.
Awesome, man.
And buy art. People.
So if I am and one day I want to become a painter or a tattoo artist or something, right? Myself, I haven't tattooed yet or whatever, but I like Christian Perez's work, for example.
Come
his
and paint a skull.
Sculptures. It's called. So let's say he's gonna be there painting, right?
He will be there teaching a painting class.
He's gonna be teaching a painting class for 1 day or several days?
For 1 day.
Okay.
So it's a smaller oil.
Mm-hmm.
He'll have a supply list, and
awesome.
You can paint there right alongside him.
So in the website is the list of everybody that's gonna be attending, and then let's say I can read like Christian Perez's calls and whatever.
Yeah.
So I click in that one to see the price and the list of whatever I need. Oh man, so cool.
I think he's 125, maybe 100, but you could do he's doing his virtually too. People have signed up for both the in-person and for the virtual.
And to do it virtually, is the same price as doing it in person?
It is.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah. Awesome.
And that way, like I was saying, people that, aren't going to make their plane, or whatever, they could just tune in virtually.
Yeah.
And to your point, to your question earlier, this isn't even breaking a sweat for us. Like, when in the event industry, right, everything went virtual, and we were like, you mean streaming? Like we've been streaming this the whole fucking time, right? And now that the event industry is going hybrid, and we're like, hybrid? You mean when we're streaming like live with people? I mean, I'd have events where guys beaming in on Skype at the time, right? So in Keystone, Colorado, he'd be on that fucking 30-foot screen. Beaming in from hyperspace, and people, with Q&A, so like we're wicked down with all this stuff, and Jiminy Peak as a venue's already tested, so we're pretty excited to be able to offer this to people all around the world,
Awesome, man.
But no tattooing.
No tattooing.
If you're gonna call up and reserve your hotel room, it is passcode tattoo. We are room block tattoo, but there's no tattooing.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe we might have a couple, like I think Jesse was talking about doing some professional development tattoos. There might be a couple of tattoos that are happening, but it's not like a tattoo convention with tattoo booth. That's happening next year, October 20th to the 23rd.
Oh,
2022.
next year you're gonna do
we're
again
doing
the tattoo.
full-on tattoo gathering again. No holds barred. Fuck, the pandemic
Knocking
has
good.
gotta be over by then. And if it's not,
Man.
then we'll do another BYOB.
So just one thing that connect two different things at the same time is like, because New York regulations, we had the tattoo convention at the same weekend where you show start,
Right.
where the Paradise
Sure.
BYOB start, right? So, but now it's not happening the New York Tattoo Convention October because the complications that, New York require everybody to be vaccinated and show the carnet or the passport or whatever it is. And because that convention specifically is one of the ones that is famous for bringing artists from all around the world, and many of those countries have several restrictions for them to either for them to travel out or this country to receive them in because they're coming from those shows. So the convention decided to rather postpone it until May next year. So now, for example, I was planning to come to your show, but I couldn't come on Sunday because I was tattooing in New York. But now I'm free the 4 days, so I might come from Sunday and hang around, paint, and
Sunday is packed.
Oh, it's packed already?
And, with events.
Uh-huh.
Let me just list off because it is a little crazy. Yeah, on the other hand, it is weird, right? Because when like they have more resources than I do, like the New York fucking city, right? So like when they're like,
just starting that it's in New York City, so it's super easy.
But part of me is like, why would I run our show if they're bumping theirs up, right? But then I'm like, because we are designing our show to be less than 100 people per room, and we're webcasting and we're recording everything, and it's outdoors.
And
so
you want that retreat experience, so you don't want so many people all the time around you, because then you cannot really relax a little and focus on painting or whatever you're doing.
Oh shit! Let me get to. I'll just read off some of the stage events that I have here on the list. I don't have them all here, but so for instance, we've got an opening panel. It was going to be getting behind the 8 ball, right? For years, actually, speaking of my shoot show, I'm like, yeah, we want to get in front of the 8 ball. I was like, wait, if you're in front of the 8 ball, isn't it going to hit you?
Yeah.
You want to get behind the 8 ball to aim it right. Anyways, so that's basically the opening discussion panel with a lot of the teachers. Then we'll do the Reinventing drawing group with Jason Leeser. So every Sunday at 1 o'clock, he does an open drawing group. And it'll be fun because we'll be beaming in with people from all around, but we'll be having a large groups in person. Let's see. So Jake Meeks will be teaching his Find Your Style seminar. So that's a 2-part seminar. This one's $100. Nick Mitchell's doing a caricature seminar. That's also
I love his
extra.
work, man. It's so fucking funny. He do the zombie caricature. It's so fucking awesome, man. Shout out to that dude.
Yeah,
I fucking love his work.
We could talk
man.
about illustrators. I mean, the influx of illustrators into the tattoo world for me is,
illustrators and painters, not just illustrators.
So awesome, yeah. Like Sean Barber.
Sean Barber, for example, yeah.
Now, I do also appreciate in a probably in an unhealthy manner, like when illustrators see tattooing and are like, oh shit, you're making how much? I want to do that. So then they want to try to get into it for the money, but then it's tattooing, so that shit will chew you up and spit you out if you're in it for the money, right?
Yeah.
So then, so I almost appreciate how some illustrators try to do it, but they just can't. It's not their thing, right? Because there's so many. The thing is with tattooing, there's so many. Even though it's an amazing, awesome lifestyle, there's so many easier things that you can do.
Yeah.
The only
people don't realize how complicated it is. Not just the technique itself that you have to learn and all of that, but it takes a toll in your body, in your brain,
Oh, absolutely.
And then if you have to travel, it's exhausting. People don't consider all of this stuff because many of those things actually sounds fun all the time. You know, if you're drawing and getting paid to draw, I want to do that. I don't want to go to a bank and work for an asshole. You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
But it definitely take a toll on you, man. And many people have tried to cross the line from art, let's say painting, into tattooing just to do it to get the money every day or whatever. And they realize that's not that easy as I thought or whatever.
Nope.
But some people have done the transition and they do it very, very well, man.
And that's what's worth it for me
Yeah.
to watch. I mean, it makes a difference what I think.
It's an artist I appreciate because also it's great to see artists that have already the mind and already the knowledge. And then bring it into the tattooing so that the tattoo world is also evolving into that more, quality experience. And
Well, and just the tattoos that are going on people become better, and then people can envision better tattoos on them because they see that happening, and but again, I guess I was talking about this a little bit on one of the Reinventing threads earlier because somebody posted up something about they were looking over the shoulder of somebody who was tattooing who was like, you don't need to be an artist to tattoo, or and so the post was like, do you need to be an artist to tattoo? And I was just really glib, I was like, yeah. Oh, I think what I said was like, tell me how tell me you don't know how to tattoo without telling me how to tattoo. I tried to be like clever in 2021. And, but it was Kier, one of the younger tattooers. I think she's been tattooing maybe a couple, 4 months professionally. She was like, there was a time when you didn't have to draw to tattoo, and there could be, and I know awesome, phenomenal tattooers that can't draw. And I'm like, well, clearly, yes, and there is a space for that, right? So then in my head, I'm like, well, how fucking snobby can I be? Like, right? Like, I love the fact that there could be a 16 or 17-year-old kid who's getting, fucked up in their environment, but can like focus on their art, stick and poke some of their friends who come back with their friends. All of a sudden, they're picking up $100 a day, which is like fucking gold, and get themselves or with different countries, it's like the ability for tattooing to enable people through. Again, like, you can do it by tattooing shitty things on people, but the sweet spot is, and the most often the case, if you're doing positive tattoos on people, showing them a good time, then they're coming back with their friends to continue to produce that positive effect. Anyways, point being is tattooing can be used to enable people. And I love that. I don't know. I forgot where we were going with it. Go tattooing, enable people to be who they want to be.
Yeah, that thing started with a fight of artists jumping into that tattoo world.
Oh, yeah. So it was fun. So Kira was basically like, don't be so... She wasn't saying it to me specifically, but she was like, there's a lot of tattooers that don't necessarily know how to draw, but they can do sick-ass tattoos.
So, yes, like in this industry exist like the groups, right? Like the tribes, the people that think this way should be how you tattoo and respect the industry, and these people who think like we can bend rules,
right.
And somebody like me in the middle, like I bend rules, but I respect the traditions and whatever, right? But definitely, it's depending on what kind of tattoo you want to do, and as a collector, what kind of tattoo you want to receive. Absolutely. So there is people that learn crafts, and this is not just for tattooing. This is for everything, like carving on wood. Yeah. There is people that can draw beautiful images and carve it on wood, and they look amazing. There's people that cannot draw, but they really understand the craft and the tools, and they can carve perfectly designs made by somebody else. Yeah. And that applies to tattooing, right? There is people that they're super capable to do super clean lines, nice smooth shading of colors, or solid packing color, whatever. The tattoo looks solid and perfect, but they cannot come out with their own designs.
Sure.
And should we say that's a bad tattoo because he doesn't know how to draw? I wouldn't say that easy. You know what I mean?
I mean, in some ways, it's more tattoo than a painterly back piece, right? I don't know. So I was interviewing Hunter Spanks recently, and when I was doing the preview, it just came out. I'm like, Hunter Spanks, he's like a real tattooer. Wait a minute, I hang out with a million real tattooers, right? Mm-hmm. But like he's a tattooer who takes anything that comes through the door, fucking hammers it out like a street shop tattooer who's been doing it 25 years.
How it used to be.
How it used to be. And he makes his machines. He's probably using machines that he's made. And like I said, it just came out naturally. It came out too naturally. I'm like, he's a real tattooer. Wait a minute, they're all real tattooers. I'm not trying to disparage on anybody, but like, there's and that experience, I mean, part of the tattoo experience really is, again, it's about the time and space that you're putting with that person, right? Yeah. Although I guess it's interesting though, is our souvenir tattoos or, flash walk-in tattoos. No, it is still about that experience.
It is still, yes. Yeah. I mean, you can get a very simple tattoo, or let's say a 2 hours tattoo by the greatest tattoo artist ever, and be a piece of shit also, or a bad experience for you or whatever. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean anything. Again, we go back to like, it could be a very expensive tattoo, very expensive small tattoo done by somebody that you have a name but don't really know what they're doing. That tattoo fall apart in 5 minutes as soon as they heal or whatever. Sure. So it's everything. You know what I mean? So okay, this guy was a painter, amazing painter, and wanted to become a tattoo artist because he was selling paintings like one a year. So, but he need income every day for his family or himself or whatever. And he now is exploring the tattoo, but his tattoo doesn't look good. and they are not done in the right way. So you can see it. It's not like judging because I feel like I'm more than nobody else. It's that you know it. At this point, 12 years tattooing full time, you kind of know certain things at least. Yeah. And you see the tattoo now. So it's not necessarily because you're a great artist, mean you're a great tattooist, right? Or tattoo artist.
Sure. Yeah.
It's the same for the person, not because you don't know how to draw perfectly.
But you're not a tattoo.
Doesn't mean that your tattoo is shit. Your tattoo still can be very solid.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's well, I mean, and I guess with there's no absolutes. You know, I mean, a little bit of everything. Like you want to be. I mean, and that's where somebody like, you know, like Baxter or Ivana, right? They're like great artists with vision and technicians.
Who's that?
Ivana. Do you know Ivana? You know.
Like Nick Baxter, for example.
And Baxter, yeah.
Great artist, great painter, great tattoo artist. He know how to translate into tattoo things that he do in painting, but adding the extra part that is necessary for the tattoo to have longevity.
Yeah, longevity. You know, it was fun. When I was interviewing Christian a couple of days ago, I was asking him about how his paintings inform his tattooing, and he was like, not all that much. I'm like, oh my God, it's like the exact opposite of like. You know,
I heard a part of that conversation between you guys.
Yeah, it was fun. That was great, and it was such a different. Like I said, he was like, "No, I paint," and I, you know.
Let me ask you something about that. When that was done, the interview was like audio only with a still photo of him sitting in the chair, or it was a video, but I wasn't getting the video, just a still photo.
Yeah. That was an on location working on the technological bugs, right?
Oh, okay.
So my computer did not accept my high def camera.
Oh.
So I got the audio out.
Oh, okay. I was a little concerned. I was like, what is not moving? What happened with computer? What happened with computer? Because I know you got the capabilities for video. So I was like, what is happening? What is happening? But I was listening to that conversation where he was saying that his tattoo is different than his painting. When he do painting, he explores stuff that he don't explore when he's tattooing. But he actually feel like flattered that other people is doing his paintings as tattoos. Yeah. And he see many of those as a good pieces.
That's awesome. I'm going to use that clip as like the teaser on the intro where he's like, you know, more people do my tattoo, my tattoos, my paintings than I do. And
it was cool. It was
great.
I was listening to that. I love that dude, man. He's a nice person.
He's
very
awesome.
Nice person.
And so talented. You know, that's the part of, you know, Tattoo Now. I'm just like a one-man tech show, you know, and the fact is I'm able to, or people are gracious enough with their time to, you know, lend it to my energies. It's like, it's amazing that all I really have to do is get out that audio, you know, live. You know, we have the full recording, so I'm editing it when I get back home, probably today. I'll put a clip up on the Tattoo Weekly, the Sunday show that we do. But yeah, I was sweating, you know. I was like, my camera's not plugging into my computer.
It is, and you're a geek about it.
Oh yeah.
Me, I didn't know any of this before I started the podcast. I was just learning what I was doing. My intention, and I keep repeating this shit over and over. My intention was to just with my cell phone when I'm tattooing, talk to my client about what he's getting tattooed, who you are, you know, what I represent for you, or where it come from, the idea, whatever. That was my original idea. Brought a microphone here for each of us and call the day. But little by little, I was like, yeah, but if I do that in the shop, people is walking in and out all the time. I like to listen music. I like to listen to podcasts. So I cannot play that because then, you know, I cannot put on YouTube because if I have music, they got to knock it down because of the other music.
Sure.
So I start little by little, okay, maybe I can do an interview of my client before we start tattooing in the morning. So I got one table with a microphone. We talk. When we finish, I just roll the table to the corner. Actually, the first table I bought, it was like half of this size and it have wheels. So I can roll it to the corner and start doing my other area of the room, and we call it a day. And then I was, but still people going to be walking in the shop and saying hi or whatever, asking questions. So it's going to be how I do it. Even if I start like 1 hour earlier before we open the shop, it's going to mean like I have to get my client earlier that is already probably driving 4 or 5 hours to get here. So I was debating. I was like, okay, I got to set it up in a separate space, just the studio for just the podcast. So what I need now, my microphone, I need like the thing, I need the switcher, so it's, oh my God, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more complicated until we got to this point. But now I need to learn better how to do either Zoom or OBS because I'm learning to do both at the same time. So that suggests to me, do you call on Zoom but record through OBS? That's what people is suggesting to me.
Yeah, it's either. I mean, if we're gonna talk tech, it would be either OBS or like Wirecast would be the other platform to use. I think OBS is free and open source, where Wirecast is for pay.
Okay.
So we can get into the open source versus for pay software debate.
So far, because I just started testing and trying, I did an interview with Yogi Barrett.
Oh yeah, cool. He's great.
Yeah, he's awesome, man.
I don't know him, but.
We did it through Zoom, right?
Yeah.
It was a mess because I was picking the audio of my speaker in my laptop in my microphone.
Oh, I know.
So I was both audios.
Echo panic.
It was a little complicated to edit it and put it on.
Oh yeah, that's tough. It's tough. It's echo panic. Echo panic is real.
Yeah, so I'm trying to find a way to do it the best possible. Easy too, because I don't want to get too complicated.
You should on the Reinventing app get a hold of Lauren or Jason.
They'll
like Lauren's really good. She's got a bunch of setups. Okay. And so does Jason. And that's actually, and also at the Paradise BYOB on Tuesday night will be Podcasters Paradise.
Oh, cool.
Who comes up with these names? But yeah, we're going to have all of the podcasters come out and it'll be like 8 o'clock, I think. We'll webcast it out also. Mm-hmm. So it's part of, if somebody gets the webcast ticket for the stage, then yeah. And we'll basically be explaining, we'll all be talking about our own paths and our own technologies and what softwares and whatnot we're using, but we'll also be giving advice to tattooers and artists who are interested in streaming too.
Yeah, man, super cool. I definitely need to check on that, and I gotta check on Lawrence and Jason too. Ask them questions or whatever, because my nephew knows quite a lot about it, but he's in Colombia, so we were trying to stream while we talk and trying to check, and that OBS is a great tool. But it looks like it's a very old tool.
Yeah,
like the way that I don't know, the menus and stuff, it look a little like old, and it's not like super user friendly. Like you can,
I always
instinctively go inside and just do it. You have to kind of take a course.
I don't know if Wirecast is like $100 or like $300, but I know it's not $500.
Yeah, but it's better. You will say that.
Well, in my opinion, it's what I use is what I would say. Like, whether it's better or not is somebody who uses both more would have a better opinion on that.
And from that one that you're saying, you can do like Twitch and Instagram and YouTube. You can live stream everywhere.
I also use a Mac. Like, right. So like, I'm a computer geek and I understand very high level logic. So like, I prefer easier to use systems that allow me to do that, right? And whereas with PCs, DLL files and reinstalling monitor drivers and shit like that, I just like so I'm not that kind of a computer geek.
Okay.
So, but that said, I prefer Wirecast. Like I said, it might even be like $300 or $400.
I gotta check it out, man.
But it has, and again, to bring this into a conversational point, like OBS I believe is open source, which
it is.
So it's free and open source. So if there's a bug, who are you going to call?
I know.
Like the open source people, the computer geeks that are like, doing it in their part-time for fun. Whereas, with Wirecast or the proprietary softwares, you call them up and you're like, this shit ain't working. Mm-hmm. So I always tend towards those. But on the other hand, you have enough of this set up here that if you wanted to, you could be streaming from, one of the platforms. If you'd like to stream from Reinventing, we could set that up.
We can figure it out, definitely, man.
But then you'd be live.
Yeah, it's okay. So, what else would you? Why I'm not asking you that? I should be asking you about that retreat.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
for
so
example.
Some of the other things that we're doing at the BYOB is build your tattoo machine with Tony Urbanic, right? So.
Coil
tattoo machines.
Definitely.
He's got all the parts. It's
hands-on. I saw in the website. Hands-on.
He also has so there's a little bit different, right? So Tony Urbanic has a build your own tattoo machine by hand course. It's like 7 or 8 webinars for replay up on courses.reinventingthetattoo.com. What he's doing, but that you could take that. So that's a webinar, and that's all fucking hand tools. He's like filing this shit down. It was the most amazing thing to help produce, and we'll get better cameras and stuff. But this shit's real raw. Like again, part of the beauty of it is it's not like overproduced. It's like a guy that's been building machines in his basement, machine shop, who's got a phone, you know? And but he's pointing that phone at his fucking file, and he's like, I'm like, I'm sweating fucking watching him do this shit.
It's crazy, man. Tattoo machines. I miss the sound of the tattoo machines, but I use rotaries.
Yeah.
And it's like I miss it, but kind of in the conventions when you hear it from far.
Sure. Yeah.
I cannot use it in my hands anymore. Like the vibration, that weight, the sound is aggravated to me when I'm using it, you know?
Sure. I bet it's like people that vape going back to smoking.
I
They're
guess.
like, it's barbaric, you know? But some people just,
some people like to roll their own cigarettes still, you know? So it's like buying your package Friday or rolling it.
It's been amazing watching Tony build the machines, and he's interviewing other traditional tattooers. And again, you know, I'm a computer geek who's into like, you know, surrealism and painterly shit, right? And the old school, you know, traditionally wouldn't care about me much, right? You know, although I have friends, you know, traditional friends, and we get along just fine because I love all of tattoos and whatnot. But that said, you know, I gravitate towards, you know, the other styles and other schools of tattooing, and guys in the, you know, he's definitely not just he tattoos mostly bio surreal stuff, but, you know, reinventing is applicable towards all the different styles. But and because of that, we're interviewing and doing more shows with all the traditional guys. Like I was saying earlier, like real tattooers, and it's awesome. Like the effect that they're going for is, you know, again, ultimately at the core, they want to show their clients a great time that they're going to remember for the rest of their life.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. Something that I also appreciate about the coil machines is the craftsmanship. Let's say nowadays you get. I spoke about this with somebody, maybe with Christian, I don't remember. That back in the days, you used to have your machine, right? And I mean, you have like 10 of them. And this one is my liner, and I fucking love it. And you adjust it, you clean it, you clean the springs, you adjust everything, you know?
Sure.
And you hold it in your hand, and you see how somebody built a chair, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those coils, somebody probably made them by hand. Some people buy them, but many
you can watch this. Like,
I
I'm
know.
watching
So
Tony
many of those
it.
artists, tattoo machine builders, they build their own coils. They build their everything, right? And they weld their own frames and file them and paint them and this kind of coats that they put up paint to make them whatever. So you know that's something that person did, you know, with a craftsmanship. So you kind of appreciate the craftsmanship, right?
Sure.
It's not saying that you'd rather drive a 4T than a Tesla. Right. You still want to drive the Tesla, but you appreciate the mechanic behind and the brain behind the other cars, let's say.
Sure.
And I'm not trying, don't hate me, I'm not trying to compare a coil machine with a T model versus a Tesla.
It's like a standard versus automatic.
But you know what I'm saying, like the kind of more modern equipment.
Sure.
But you build sentiments to your tattoo machine. You build relationships. Like you appreciate the machine. You love it. You know,
it's like a soul. You know,
nowadays you buy a whatever it is, a rotary from whoever it is, and it's a great machine. I use rotaries, so I'm not talking shit about it at all.
Sure.
I love them. I love how versatile they are, how easy to operate, and you just grab it and start working. You don't need to adjust shit. So it's
personality is
constant.
gone.
But the personality is gone. Now, if this machine breaks, it's just in the garbage. Give me another one and let's keep going.
It's
the same
exact way.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you kind of missed a little bit all of the craftsmanship, right?
Well, that's where, as I said, you know, so I don't even make that much money off of it. People should be, especially apprentice types and whatnot, like grab that course, make a fucking coil machine. You know, it's so much more appreciative. It's so much easier. You actually can be more appreciative of the tools that you're using after you make them by hand like that. And it's not necessary. It's not like, you know, I didn't teach my daughter to drive standard. She drove automatic right out of the get-go, you know. So it's
I learned
a
standard. I learned a standard by my brother. My brother teach me how to drive. It was a standard. It took me a little while to get used to the automatic transmission.
Oh, yeah.
Mostly because, you know, when you drive a standard, you kind of slow down the car with your transmission. Like you in fifth gear, you put in 4 and let go and woo.
Sure.
So, and you can, like, if you certain speed and you let go the gas, the car kind of woo.
Sure, yeah.
So you can take a curve without pressing your brake or anything, right?
Sure.
You just let it slow, take the curve, and then gear again and keep going, right?
Yeah.
So I got so used to drive that way that when I started
going around
driving
curves
automatically,
without
the
the-
curve, man, I was driving into houses all the time,
Awesome.
man.
Is driving in Venezuela like I don't know, like Puerto Rico? I guess like I went through the mountains of Puerto Rico once, and or like Italy. You know, the mountain. Is it like that in Venezuela? Like just crazy curves and.
It depends on the cities.
Yeah.
Venezuela is a pretty big country. It's not
course,
huge as
sure,
the
sure.
United States, of course, but it's a pretty big country. So we have everything. We have the very metropolitan cities like Caracas, Maracay, Valencia, all of those big metropolitan cities compared with, let's say, Manhattan or LA or something. You know, big city with a lot of people, a lot of
everything you would
traffic, right? And then we have the mountains with a lot of curve, with no edges that you can look down and it's like no end. So we have all of those, man. We have.
You haven't really lived until you've looked over one of those.
Yeah,
curves.
you haven't really appreciated life until you're driving those curves and then you feel like, yeah, I don't want to die today.
Do you know Luca Natalini?
No.
Luca, he's an Italian, and he's in Tuscany Hills, I suppose, outside of Florence. An amazing tattooer. He knows Nick from back in the day. He worked on Long Island probably 20 years ago or something. But anyways, we were visiting him. And as we were going like up the steep Tuscany mountains, my daughter was like, "Wow, this is kind of crazy, you know." And we had this amazing meal at the top of the mountain. I might be mixing up my stories, but then we had like an amazing time at the top of the mountain. And
how hard you puke going down?
Well, when we were going down, he was like, "If you thought that was crazy, I'm taking the fucking dirt road back." And then we were like, "Dirt road, Tuscany mountains," like, "Wow," you know. Again, kind of like one of those mountainy things where you're looking over, you're like.
Yeah.
I trust that he's not going to feel like he doesn't want to die.
We hope.
He said we hope, but
we hope.
You know,
when I was little, to go from where we live to where my aunt lived is a 3-hour drive. Mm-hmm. It was probably 2 hours of just constant curve and curve and curve.
Yeah. Awesome.
Always, and I actually feel embarrassed about it, but I don't give a fuck. Always, my mother has to travel with a plastic bag because always I gotta puke, man. It was rough. Sure. It was rough. That smell of gasoline. Because, you know, in our countries, for me, I didn't know. I've been in America now for 20 years, right?
20, okay.
I've been in Venezuela once since I moved here. Mm-hmm. And I went there for a week.
So how old were you when you came up?
25.
Okay.
I'm about to turn 45.
Okay.
So I went there in 2010 or 11 or something for a week. And already been living here for 10 years. I didn't realize how strong, and again, I don't want people to think like, oh yeah, pussy, whatever. No, it's like, it's different when you live out of there, but how strong the smell of gasoline and diesel is in the cars. Because here, you know, you have to take your car to inspections all the time. If something is leaking or whatever, you don't pass inspection, you have to fix it. There, fuck that. Nobody gave a fuck. So all the cars are like a lot of smoke. So you smell it. And even inside of the car, you smell gasoline when you're driving. Yeah. And I was asking my brother, like, bro, is something wrong with the car? It smells like gasoline. He's like,
it's a fucking car.
It smells normal.
It's what burns fuel.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Don't be a fucking ass. You know what I mean? But I've been here already 10 years, and it's super different, man. Yeah. I was like lightheaded all the time with gasoline. So probably that's part of the reason that when I was little, driving through those mountains in those cars smelling gasoline all the time or diesel or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, the human experience is evolving way faster than the body's evolved to deal with.
Yeah.
We're not. I mean, it's not like flying. You know, I guess my wife has been telling me these days that flying seems to be relatively safe with all the ventilation and whatnot. So, but still, you know, which is good. But like, you know, for me to be 30,000 feet up in the air going at fucking 800 miles an hour, I need to be relatively tanked.
I know.
You know, I that's not natural.
You don't like too much flying?
I accept flying if I've had enough tasty beverages ahead of time.
Tasty beverage.
I don't like it. I mean, I've been flying since forever, you know, and
but you still have that little anxiety about it.
The only time I'm not like dizzy drunk is if I'm with my family.
Okay, because it's fun that I'm a little scared of flying, but little. No, it's not like it stopped me to do it, but I get a little antsy every time I have to fly, right?
Yeah, you should. It's not natural.
But it's so funny that normally when you scared about something or whatever, you try to don't talk too much about it, right? Because I have to fly in a couple of weeks to California for the show, so I try to don't talk too much about how dangerous it is. How
So LA is still happening.
LA is still happening.
Okay.
I asked them this morning when I received the email from New York. I sent an email to them. They said, no, it's still happening 100%.
They probably replied that like 150 times or something.
Yeah, man. Sorry, I asked you to part of that. I hope they created a test that they just copy and paste and sent.
I'm sure they did.
I hope they did that because I'm sure other people is asking. Also because California being very like petty about, very like pain in the ass, let's say, about regulations and stuff and when we're open and not open yet and all of that.
Sure.
So this is something that they consider the convention as a mega event for, a mega event they call it. So the regulations are a little strict, but in California, surprisingly, it's less strict than New York City or New York State. Sure. I don't know if the full state of the city. I don't know if it's a governor or a mayor law that is working in the city that you have to show. Like we went to a concert and you have to bring your ID that you already got vaccinated and they check both IDs and I don't know, it's a pain in the ass, but whatever. So, but apparently in California, nothing of that is going on. They require you to be either vaccinated or show the proof of negative in the past 72 hours or something. But other than that, they let you be. So, what is crazy about the kind of fear to be flying is that this morning podcast I was recording with my other friend. He also was talking about Sully. You remember the movie, the airplane that landed in the Hudson River? I don't know if you could say land or Aqua Tides or whatever.
That, Tom Hanks was in.
Tom Hanks was in the movie. He was the.
Was it a good
pilot?
Movie?
I think it was a good movie, man. I like it.
I felt like
sometimes
I didn't see it because it was like this is a movie about a guy that landed a plane in the Hudson River, and I was like,
but I feel it was interesting, man. From my point of view, personal, independent of everybody else. I'm not trying to say everybody should agree with me, but my point of view is that I'm afraid of flying, even though I still do it, right? But if I see that an airplane is about to crash, and this guy save it, and I don't know if you said how you say when they don't land, but it's on the water.
Crash land.
But it's not land, it's water. In Spanish, we say, I said it this morning again, aqua tide.
Like a water landing. Or,
like, yes. I don't know, a different word.
Like
because you say aterrizar when it's in land, but you say aquatizar when it's in water.
I don't think in English we have different. We don't differentiate.
So if this guy managed to barely skip the bridge that George Washington and safely land this thing on the water and everybody got saved, this is my hero. I want him to be my fucking pilot every time, right?
Yeah.
But people were trying to sue him and all of that for doing that. I don't know. So in the movie, they kind of portray the fact that the at the beginning, even the I don't know if TSA or whatever organization behind the flying rules or whatever are trying to kind of get him in trouble because they said that he should have find a way to go around and land on the LA on the LaGuardia.
Yeah.
So he was saying like it was impossible. I managed all the numbers in my mind, and with a machine, that was safer thing was to put in the water, not into a building in the middle of New York City.
Yeah.
They were trying to give it a hard time, so they hired professional pilots and put it on simulators to. Okay, spoiler alert, people. Sorry about it. So they're trying to put it on the simulators, and they were landing it safe back in LaGuardia. But then they say like, okay, but you're doing like the number that whatever you need to do before we got the notice by the airplane that something went wrong.
Right.
So now change it and put it like 5 minutes.
So you're doing the
later.
simulations, given the fact that you know the information, kind of.
Yeah. So it's like you depart from the airport and you start making the adjustment to land it back in the airport. But he didn't know that until he was certain amount of distance or whatever. So as soon as they put that information in the simulators and tried to make the landing, every time they were crashing inside of New York City.
Yeah. Well, so to turn this to traditional podcast territory, isn't that's the argument for computer AI aided flights, right?
To say it again.
Computer aided driving and flights, right? Like the computer can drive and fly better than human beings can, or they will be before too long, right? Mm-hmm. Like so like I'm not overly scared.
Like the self-driving trucks and stuff like that.
Cars and stuff. People are like, oh man, robots are kind of weird. They like killed 3 people. I'm like, do you know how many people I know how unsafe people can fucking be driving, you know, and the computer,
I've been driving around. I know how people normally drive.
like just the texts, like maybe before texting, maybe a computer would, you know, humans could do it better, but like after texting, there's no way.
I'm still doubting, man. People always like, okay, I feel a little tired, but I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? People always underestimate themselves or overestimate themselves or what they can do or not. They're drinking a little bit. I can drive. This is nothing for me.
For me, it's I do drive long periods of time, so sometimes that tiredness. Do you know the Morphine song, Driving My Car?
No.
Driving My Car. It's about driving a car while you're tired and like stopping the car and walking around the car and get back in the car and you keep driving. It's like all the rock bands. I'm sure all the rock bands are like, fuck it, I know exactly what it's like to be driving. I have to stop the car and drive around. And then I think he ended up
candies,
totaling
man.
the car. But what was that?
I eat candies.
There you go, voila.
When I'm driving and tired, I just buy a bag of Sour Patch or something like that and just shove it on me to keep me away that sugar a little bit more.
Sure. I do love driving. Catch up with Bob. Like Bob Tyrell is also a long haul solo driver.
Yeah.
And someday maybe we'll both drive across the country, but in separate cars. But I love traveling. You know, traveling is definitely one of the things that you know, works with tattooing. You know, and to be able to travel the world and catch all the great stuff that's happening is a true blessing.
Yeah.
You know,
and how you were saying about the IA flying, the computers flying the airplanes or something?
Oh yeah. Well, mostly when we think about the advancements that are happening in technology, right, and everyone, you know, being reluctant. Again, so to your point, when you have computers that are calculating the trajectories of possible landings before there's a issue, like, well, yeah, I mean, for me, that's like a massive vote for like, if we could just keep on working on that technology so that, you know, in 10 years, and I'm sure that, I mean, I bet a lot of the autopilot technology already is in use with airplanes. I think that a lot of airplane is probably on autopilot. I think they
do a lot of that part once the airplane is
up and down.
In cruise mode.
Which means they could have computers do the whole thing.
I'm sure they can.
You know, but I'm way down with all that stuff. Like as far as using technology to our benefit. I don't want to drive. I can't wait to call my fucking, you know, self-guided car to drive me back. I'd have 2 more tasty beverages. But what do you think about technology and computers? Do you think the robots will be doing tattoos before too long?
Sadly, yes.
Yeah.
I think either it's gonna be robots or it's gonna be just a regular printer, where you just put your arm inside of something and like then a laser shit. You gotta be in a second. Beautiful tattoos.
Do you think? So, what do you think that means for the practice of tattooing?
Man, I've been thinking a lot about it, man. Sadly, I haven't been talking too much about it. And you know, the best thing when you have ideas is to talk so you can really explore that idea better when you get somebody talking back to you on your faults or whatever. So far what I've been thinking is that there is a big group of tattooers. Should I call it tattooers? Not tattoo artists. Like, whatever.
Oh, you know what?
Tattooers.
I think tattooers is better because all tattooers are artists. Tattooers are artists. I
Uh-huh.
mean, even if you can barely be an artist, you are an artist technically, right?
Yeah.
At least that's what guy corrected me the other day. I said like tattooers and artists, and he's like tattooers are artists. I'm like, oh well, yeah.
I didn't mean it in a negative way. What I'm trying to separate a little bit is the fact that some people is a real artist and put the knowledge of art inside of their tattooing, and some people just apply tattoos. Let's say that way. That's what I'm trying to separate.
Tattoo artist, sure.
I didn't mean rude or anything, but just trying to separate a little bit. So I feel like there is many people that do tattoos in a very basic way that probably gonna be eaten out of the market by the computers easily, because if you just do little names, upside down names on the wrist of somebody, or if you just do very basic tattoos and you try to charge $500, $300 for a simple tattoo that takes probably 20 minutes, and then it comes a computer that can do it more precisely, super fast in a safe way, probably gonna cost less because that's the whole price of technology. That the more you advance, the price is lower, right? I
mean, the machine will cost more, but the tattoo will cost less.
That tattoo gonna cost less, and the machine might be a higher price initially, but the cost of the production of the tattoos is gonna lower too for the people who own the machine.
Ink Magazine's going to kill it.
Hmm?
No, sorry.
And so that's the only thing. You gotta be super precise, super quick, probably less painful, and
I mean,
the price gotta lower. So why people gotta still go to somebody else to get a simple letter tattoos that might have crooked lines and probably misspelled when you can get it by a machine super quick, better price and precise, right?
Have you figured out why?
Then it come to my mind that maybe the artist is still gonna have the clientele. So tattoo collectors and people who really want tattoos for what they represent, what they mean to them, and that connection to the artist, and because there is something that we cannot deny, and it's basic kind of art concept, is that every person is an individual. Sure. So I can give you the same tool to 10 different well capable artists. Oh. Same tools, same machines, same needles, ink, everything, to 10 different artists that are very, very good artists, and the same reference, and all the tattoo gonna look different. Yeah. Because everybody gotta put their own soul into that, their own knowledge, their own everything, right? And interpretation of colors, experiences, everything gotta come out, right?
And different conversations and different ideas.
That gotta be very hard for a machine to mimic, at least in this stage. I don't know what is gonna happen down in the road with IA, right? But right now, we're talking about what existed right now, what can be done, right? So I feel like still people gotta go and trying to get those tattoos by those artists, just because they want that interpretation of that person knowledge into that piece, right?
Sure.
Something that I see, for example, every day, and I'm not trying to talk high about me because it's not the intention, but it's the person that I did mostly every day, myself. Sure. So my clients comes like, I want to do something that represent my son and my this or that. So I start picking their brain, talking, and out of that conversation, I start picking ideas and come up with a design. So clients...
Do you do that design on a computer?
I do a lot of Photoshop because I do a lot of realism. Mm-hmm. So it's easier than trying to, if I got to tattoo a lion, I don't want to do by hand a drawing of a lion if I can pick a beautiful photo of a lion. Yeah. But because I do sometimes those mix images right now, collage, because maybe too much whiskey or something, I cannot think straight anymore. It's like I mix images together, like a face of a lion with a face of a woman and,
like
and a candle, like a collage, but they blend to each other and stuff like that. It's a lot easier to do in the computer because I move things around till I feel pleased with that. So clients often say like, oh man, I like that, come with an idea and you do this craziness. Yeah. So that's what I feel gonna be very hard for a computer to mimic.
Maybe impossible. Yeah.
Maybe impossible. It doesn't mean that many customers gotta be like attracted to what that computer can do too, or maybe what they can do with a computer. They can start putting together images. This is what I want. Send to print. Put on. Okay, I got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So again, it's very hard to think about what it will be because maybe the most specialized tattooist gotta succeed, gotta keep tattooing, and gotta probably charge more because now it's something more like a craft by an artisan kind of like artist than just another tattooist. Like many other artists or tattooists that just do the basic stuff probably get eaten by the computers. But if the technology keep evolving, it's gonna be very small, the amount of artists that are gonna be capable to sustain a career out of tattooing. And again, many people because again, I haven't talked enough about this. I'm more like thinking, and I can easily feel the come back to my idea saying like, no, you're wrong because always people gonna look for the specific craft coming from a human, but we can apply that to everything. For example, one example that comes to my mind thinking about it was frames. Back in the day, a painting frame was carved by hand, and it was a beautiful with gold leaf and super elaborate that take 3 months to do 100,000 hours to build it, right? Now there you go to Walmart and buy something for $5, right? Now we're getting 3D printers and printing our own shit is smaller size, right? So yes, there is still some people that afford and want to wait and want to have that frame done by hand. But how many people is this? How many people are there? Way less. And out of all this, let's say it's like 0.5% of people that gotta buy frame that gotta wait for a custom frame. how many people can afford the cost of one of those frames? And even though you want that frame, you order it and you're gonna get it at some point. But in the meantime, you get 10 more paintings and bro, you collect art and you have photos of your family, whatever.
Oh, I know this problem.
You gotta order one of those frames for each of those? No, probably most of those you gotta get frames somewhere in any store.
Sure.
Probably a local frame place, or probably if you want to spend some money for something that still is machine built, because that piece of wood, it was carved by a machine anyway.
Sure.
So you know what I'm saying? It's like how many people, how many tattoo artists are gonna really be capable to do? So it looks dark. The future of the tattoo versus the computer, but I don't know how dark it's gonna be, or how soon it's gonna be.
Yeah, well, it's hard to tell whether it'll be sooner than we think, or everything might take longer. It's funny that we talk so much about how important the experience of the tattoo is, but like in a computer, well, actually, until you were making me think that there eventually will be like an AI psychiatrist to go along with your AI tattoo machine. Yeah. Like the experience is something that we say we'll remember forever, right? And like a computer doing a printout is not an experience. It's like the actual just act, right? So it's almost like not the, I mean, they're both important parts of the tattoo, but like the experience is meshed in intimately with the art of the tattoo. I mean, and in some ways, as we bounce around, and if you like really want to define like what separate, why there's a different word for like tattoo than art, it's because it's in somebody's body, right? Mm-hmm. And well, I mean, maybe that's what it is, right? So like maybe if it's just the fact that it's in somebody's body, it doesn't make a difference if it's being printed or not. But the fact that nature has made it necessary for the person to do it, for the tattooer to do it, has introduced the experience as, you know, again, in my mind, almost the most important part, right? You give somebody a shitty tattoo and an amazing experience, and it can change their life for the better. Give somebody an amazing tattoo with a shitty experience, it turns their life for the worse. You know? Yeah.
But also, we have to kind of keep in mind, and again, I just talking out of my ass, thinking while we're talking. It's not like I haven't think about all those details. It's just coming while you're talking. And that's what I like to talk to people rather than just think about myself. That's what I normally do. But you belong to that generation of people that still believe in human interaction, how much you learn from contact with human, how much important is to really understand somebody when you talk to that person, all of that. But the newest generation, I don't know how much they've been, like social media, for example. People live a very intense life that is not real, just in the in the instant gratification of watching somebody else, in that comparison or whatever.
No,
people to go to Twitter to express ideas and receive comments, but none of that is human experience. So probably in 10, 20 years, all this generation that is growing right now that are in their 13 to 25, in 20 years, are going to be 30 to 40 something, they grow already in a world where this human connection is not that relevant anymore. So what would they care about going to somebody and see for 5 hours to talk shit when I don't have that kind of time? I'd rather get my tattoo done in 20 minutes and keep living my life. And that's gonna be exponentially worse if laser removal get more advanced to a point that you can erase a tattoo. If you can erase a tattoo in one session 100%, people gonna be like more and you can give them
but is that bad?
AI tattoos in perfect tattoos in affordable cost. Yeah. People gonna be like, yeah, give me this tattoo, I wear it for 2 months and then erase it and then give me this new tattoo.
So we've got two topics here. The first one I want to address is...
So sorry. Let me take a quick break. I had to pee, man.
Yeah.
Super bad. You need to pee too? You wrote down something there when we took that quick break?
Oh, yeah. The dance between the live and virtual experience.
Oh, we were talking a little bit about that part, right?
Yeah, you were talking
what are your thoughts about
it? How social media and people that are very conditioned to be online on the computers, right? And, if I'm going to think of myself in a little grandiose, sometimes I'm not ahead of it, but like, you know, with TattooNow, we were interacting with people online, you know, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. I mean, or mid 90s, 1999 is when we really started. And, in some ways I would say that we were like almost reality. We were tattoo reality TV before there was reality TV. People would tune into the websites to see the new tattoos, to read the forums, to meet each other, to build a community. I mean, and there were so many communications and connections and stories. I could tell a whole story about apprentices moving across the country to get shitty ass apprenticeships that include, it was crazy. But all these people were virtual people that are real people, right? Mm-hmm. And then for me, it's that the dance between people meeting people online and then meeting in person in a real physical location. That's I don't think that magic will ever go away. I mean, and again, that's where we're like, if we could use social media for the benefits, like we use social media to meet everybody and then get them there and to meet in person, and then all of a sudden they're not just internet characters. Holy shit, you are actually a real person. I saw you on TV. And these days when YouTube's on TV, I literally did see you on TV, but you're a real person, right? And when all of a sudden there's dozens or hundreds of people that are coming together who communicated online, then when they go back out onto the computer and interact with each other, it's like there's a whole nother factor of authenticity and of that communication, of that relationship that exists and continues to exist. And and again, with Guy's influence, he really does always continuously stress helping people connect with each other. Sometimes it becomes again, like I said, I guess ultimately that's where the what I have written here is, even though people might be more addicted than ever to the social medias, I don't think that will ever trump a real world
connection, human connection.
And now, although I am also very appreciative of the fact that, I gotta say this right, COVID is immense suffering has been happening from it. And the benefit that I have as a computer geek in the online streaming space is tremendous. So it's like all of a sudden now there's a whole world of people that, before were like, I don't know, can you click? I'm not going to click my phone to beam into this. As I'm saying, we've been beaming out 15 years sometimes for different events, 10 years for most of it. And but now all of a sudden everyone's now conditioned to be on their phone and to be able to connect, which is like a whole new world. It's amazing.
When I was going through that process of thinking about how people will be missing the connectivity between the artist and the customer in the future of probably computer doing tattoos instead of us. Part of the reason that thought came to my mind, it was because growing up in Venezuela for me, and this is very personal, right? It's not like it applied to everybody, just my personal perception because how I experienced it. Growing in Venezuela, that sensation of community is completely different than what it is here. I grew up in the 80s, 90s in Venezuela. I came here in 2002, 2001 the first time, went back for a few days, came back in 2002. Okay. If I have to think about the COVID, right? The close down that happened on March for a few months, right? And what still keep happening nowadays on stuff, right?
Sure.
But those times where we were forced to be in the home, by ourselves, just your family group, that's all, in the beginning, I feel like if I have to be exposed to that thing back in the 80s when I was in Venezuela, it would have been a lot harder for me. Because back then, I was so accustomed to be with my friends, surrounded by people all the time. We go to school.
Yeah.
Being in a school, it was awesome. Kind of here, it's like, ugh, I don't want to go to school. There, many people don't want to go to school. Some people want to go to school, like everywhere, right? Yeah. But it was an awesome time because you got so many friends and you do a lot of boche all day long, right? Like play soccer or play baseball, all the recesses. It was a great time being in school. You miss your friends from school. And then when you go home, you eat lunch, do homework, and go out and play all day long in the street, either, again, soccer or baseball or throw rocks or whatever you do back in Venezuela when you were a kid, right? Just to tell you, to give you a picture, my worst punishment by my mother, she was not like an abusive parent that hit me all the time or anything like that. Now and then she give me like a little spank with a belt or a chancla or like a flip flop or whatever, but little, no bullshit, no, nothing like sick, like. But the worst for me was when she said, "You cannot go out. You go to your room."
Yeah.
So I can hear my friends playing outside. I know that they're somewhere playing, and I have to be at home in my room. Man, that was worst times for me.
I don't give a shit about that.
So
I was in this side on my computer.
Yeah,
plugging in fucking numbers.
No, I didn't have computer until I was like 20 or something. But I'm talking about when I was 13, 15, so something like that, right?
Me too.
Those years playing in the street all day long. In the street, I mean outside my block, right?
Yeah.
So if I was forced to be inside all day long away from my friends back then, it probably would have been a lot more intense experience than what it was living in America. And I don't want to say this super slight because I know a lot of people suffer hard because of COVID and all that. So I don't mean to take it like a slight, but what I'm trying to say with this conversation right now is that me being at home for a month or whatever that I have to stay, probably 2 months, 3 months or whatever, it was a lot easier than what I thought it would be. I kind of, somehow I needed that break because I always live so intense with work and so many things that I'm doing all the time, barely resting at all, that when I finally got that time, I actually appreciated it. I enjoy it, and somehow it teach me that it's a good way to live. Not in pandemic, of course, not in like sitting your ass all day in the couch, but rather like, okay, I go to work, but I don't need to be working all the time. When I come home, I want to enjoy my family. I want to enjoy my son. I want to be present, so I don't touch my cell phone anymore. I put it aside and just hang out with my son and with my daughter. We talk, we have conversations now. So it teach me to appreciate those times, because when I was forced to be at home, I was like, now I have to be here. Now I'm not working. Now I don't need to be responding emails or messages or designing or anything. I have just to be here. So at the beginning, it was a little stressful. Like, you leg checking all the time because you're not doing anything. You're like, oh my God. But after a week or something, I was like, okay. So it's kind of cool actually to have the time to rest and not being so in a rush all the time, right? So I feel it got easier because I got accustomed to don't be all the time surrounded by friends as when I was younger. That's my point of the conversation. Like when I was younger, I kind of needed it to be with my friends all the time. That just the worst thing that could happen to me growing up, it was for my mother to keep me in my room and don't let me out to my friends, right?
Sure.
And that was for a day, probably half day. I came from school and have to stay home until the evening. So I cannot imagine having to be 3 months away from my friend when I was in that kind of community where you every day see friends and every day you hang out, every day you experience things and learn things with them and all of that.
Yeah, but the computer, I mean, at that time, right around the same time, I was, when I was, in high school, 13 to 15, I was beaming into the online Dungeons and Dragons, boards, right?
Oh, I asked you about it because I don't know what is that game, but I've seen it in the TV show.
You asked about it before too, right?
It's what I see in that show.
Dungeons and Dragons is a role-playing game, right? So what a role-playing game is instead of, I mean, sometimes there's maps, that you could put out for different locations and whatnot, but technically role-playing means that different people are playing different roles.
So you might be a king, I might be an elf.
Yeah, I would always be the magician.
A magician or something like that.
All the archetypes. This is what I'm, it's...
but they have like powers, different powers depending on the character.
Well, so each character, which is a different person, right, which is a different role, has, all of the different characteristics, qualities, and skills. You basically map out, personas. And again, but personas and skills... along with histories, so it's very theatrical, and you're literally, actually, you are literally, because you're writing it down and stuff, creating.
That's what I wanted it to add, because the way how I see in the TV show, in the Big Bang Theory, is that, did I pronounce it better now?
Yes, Big Bang Theory, yes. Oh, I get it. They're playing Dungeons and Dragons.
They play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons in that show, and they always have like a notebook. So they say like, oh, in the night, the person entered into the jungle, and now the princess says like, okay, throw the dice. He threw 5.
Yeah.
5. Okay, it says you open the door.
So,
you know what I mean? It's you have to write down the story yourself.
So what we would often do is we'd write down the characters. It wouldn't, it would have statistics and qualification, it's stuff, there are similar skills there's skills that I learned then that I still use now. But like, so you're creating characters. You create a character. I'm the magician. Someone else is the warrior. Someone else is the thief. All the different, again, archetypes, right? And then there's the dungeon master, who's the person that's basically leading the story. And again, Dungeons and Dragons was the first genre of role-playing game. You can create a role-playing game for the Star Wars universe or cyberpunk universe. You're just basically creating characters. And then there's a leader who brings people through the story. And then often the stories will, you can buy stories. They're, like you were saying, that's probably what you were kind of going through, where it would say, these are the things that are happening. We would often kind of get like the core rules, and we can make up all our own stories, so we didn't like go spend $20 to get, pretty stories and stuff.
Okay.
Not disparaging anybody that did. We didn't, and then for me, kind of, I would then go and like create, as I was saying, we could create different rule sets for different genres. I remember we had also like...
It's a complicated game, man. It's not like easy as, I don't know, throwing the dice, move 5 steps and do whatever is happening. No, it's like, it's a whole story, man.
You had me when you were like, it's not as simple as rolling the dice. I'm like, it is. Oh, no, just not going 5 spaces. It's very statistics oriented. Like I said, I ended up in computer programming, for a reason. That mentality. But it's not... It's somewhere in between, it's they're all just numbers. It's 100% dice, right? So like, for instance, if you have a spell skill, maybe I have a charm, a skill of 60% or whatever, you roll the dice, and if you get over 60, then you succeed. If you get under 60, then you don't succeed.
Oh, I have to check it out.
Well,
I need to check it out myself.
It's fun, I definitely, from my personal experience, because we're talking about personal experiences, I got a lot of my role-playing gaming out then. Now I use all those skills in real life. Like working business is, it's also kind of like working a video game. I don't play video games anymore, and I don't play role-playing games anymore. I play life and I play business.
You just said personal experience. And that's what this podcast is about, pretty much, right? Personal experience. I want to pick on people to learn about their personal experience. So that brought them to who you are today, right? It's crazy because when I was planning the name of the podcast, man, it took me forever. I made a long list. I can show you in some point. No, so my whole point is that I wanted it to do English and Spanish podcast, right? Yeah. So how I put a name that fits easily both, right? So I was looking and thinking, and I couldn't come to a name. But I was looking for words that in English, they write down exactly the same as in Spanish. So if you read in English, idea is idea. Wow. But if you read in Spanish, the word is idea, is the same word. You spell exactly the same.
Fiesta.
You just pronounce a little different. And if you're a Spanish speaker, you know what an idea is. If you're an English speaker, you know what idea is. You know what I mean? So I started writing down words that you can use in both Spanish and English, the same word. Yeah. And I couldn't find a good way to put, like, for example, if I use idea, what will be? Javier Isman ideas is not the point, because then it represents something else that is not what I want to try to talk. Yeah. So, and like that, I have many words that I couldn't easily put. But probably if I use personal experience, it could have worked, because personal is the same word for Spanish and English.
Yeah,
and experience is the same word. Experiencia. Experiencia is a little word. At the end, it's IA instead of E, but it's very similar to. So probably I could have used something like that. Personal experience would have fit nice.
I mean,
I don't know. Sorry, it just came to my mind when you mentioned it.
Is kind of the essence of our life, right? I mean, every moment is the like we live in the experience.
Yeah, it's the way how we perceive the world. That's what senses are. Just interpretation of what is going on outside, and we perceiving it, and getting a experience out of each experience. Out of each perception that we grabbing in that moment.
So, no, I love how there's so many things that are at work in nature that. It's hard to tell. Oh, I don't know. I love being like a skeptic kind of a person, right? One of my favorite podcasts is do you know the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe? No. Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. It's awesome. They're skeptics, right? Like they're like pro science, they're very sciencey. They're skeptics. They push on it all, and
it's a little bug there bothering me. how you call those?
Flies.
No, it's not flies.
Pests.
Huh?
No, I don't know.
The one that eat the wood. That there's a bunch there that eat the wood. I think it's one of those. I don't know. Just a little.
I got it.
Sorry.
Isn't it sad? It's so crazy. I mean, eventually our life will get squashed just as flippantly.
I know.
You know, and nature just doesn't give a fuck.
Doesn't give a fuck. And if you keep bothering people's faces, you might get squashed too, right?
Yeah. But not if you do enough sit-ups and.
So what is the podcast about? The skeptics.
So the Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. I think it's they basically bring up different topics, you know, through the course of the news, and they push on evidence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know, so they usually have a segment on COVID, of course, because it's one of the biggest sciencey things that's happening. But then they'll go through, you know, all the different physics things that are happening. They'll do university type things.
Nice, sounds interesting. Text me the link, man,
great.
or something. Check it out.
Absolutely will.
Sounds something I want to listen to.
And then, like, you know, and so all I would have to, I could sum up everything about like the social media craziness that's happening, which is just be a skeptic. Like, learn how to chase down evidence, like to truly chase down evidence, and not all. Just because some scientists are bought doesn't mean all scientists are bought. Yeah. And there is actual science that exists. And the skeptics are a great resource because they would tell you themselves not to trust them, to look up a couple of different opinions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sometimes it's cool to have that skeptic mentality. Mm-hmm. So you don't just accept everything as it is. Sometimes it's a little overwhelming when you try to fight everything, trying to find the logic or the explanation. More when where you gotta find the answers. If somebody gotta give you an answer.
Oh yeah.
So it's
funny. I find the fighting effortless. I think that people that sometimes have conversations with me are like, man, you're a lot of energy, you know, a lot of effort. Mm-hmm. You know, playing devil's advocate is something that sometimes I will fall into. You know, naturally, sometimes to my detriment. You know, like where I will argue with people things that, you know, just to poke and to make sure that even if I believe what you're saying, I want to poke on the arguments to make sure that it's strong.
Yes.
And, you know, sometimes that'll get me in trouble when I'm actually agreeing with people, but just not necessarily agreeing with a premise or some such. Mm-hmm. And
it's hard to always debate everything anyway, you know. Sometimes in order to have a life or a successful friendship or even a conversation, you cannot really argue everything somebody else says or try always to prove your point. You would rather want to?
That. No, I'm joking. Agree. Like I said,
I like to be challenging ideas. That's what I told you earlier. I've been thinking about what is going to happen to tattoo, for example. The same way how I think of a lot of the crap.
It's great.
It gave me rabbit holes inside of my mind. I don't even take the time to still go and read about it, even though I read about other stuff. But sometimes I go in those rabbit holes, in those processes of thinking.
I take it back. I do.
But I like to be challenging the idea, not just for the pleasure of being challenged or for me to be able to prove my point, but actually it's a good way to exercise your mind and to try to understand even if your point is flawless or makes sense or you actually out of context or doesn't make sense at all or whatever it is.
You know, to your point, it is tiring and uncomfortable.
Right.
And I realized a while back, like, and part of my conditioning lets me do this, or maybe this is where my path because of how I grew up or whatever. But like long periods of discomfort are what it takes to get to the pretty thing, right? It's one of the things that tattooing teaches us, right? And but like exercising is the same way. Mm-hmm. Like there's no growth without discomfort, and if you're looking to grow as much as you can for the rest of your life,
get out of the comfort zone.
Yeah, but get out of your comfort zone. Yeah, that's easy to say. Like, literally, are we supposed to do that every fucking day for the rest of our life? We're going to be uncomfortable?
Yeah, no, not really.
No?
Well, like, not really every day. Okay. You have to rest and enjoy and take that time to think. But
so 2 days a week, we could not be uncomfortable.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's a light. Well, you know, and then, you know, as the roller coaster of life goes around, like every time I feel like I might hit some comfort, I'm like, oh man, no, this is uncomfortable, you know. And as I was saying, you know, there's been times, you know, where it's been, you know, again, growth sometimes is directly related to the amount of pain that's involved. And I definitely do not agree with like what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, because sometimes what doesn't kill you just chops off a limb. You know?
I know.
Sometimes the brain can overcompensate. Like if you lose an eye really quick, your brain could overcompensate and you could hear better. You know. So but like again, let's not count on that. Like it's not an absolute. Sometimes what doesn't kill you just makes you weaker and easier to kill later. But the point is, you know, sometimes, you know, I've found, you know, both at the same times that I'm exceptionally discomfortable, but that's the time when I know that I'm learning the most.
Yeah, man.
And I don't know. Ultimately, I guess I'd love to figure out the mix where, you know, there's a little bit more comfort in the discomfort of growth.
Definitely, I love the idea of aiming to comfort, but I don't want to be so comfortable that I stop growing or pushing myself to understand or believe or care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
but to your point, it does take the brain needs time off. You know, sleep is exceptionally important because the brain's, you know, processing and rechemical.
How old are you, man?
46.
Okay, we almost same age. It's crazy how we age. I realize little things like that. Like I notice how what I eat affect my thoughts, my ideas, my capabilities to speak or think. Just what I eat, and not saying about sleeping. If I don't sleep properly, next day, but every time I know I have to do a podcast, I know I have to sleep well the night before at least. I try to sleep well the 2 nights before. I notice it.
That's great.
My wife is a big supporter of my podcast, so she listens to every episode, and she's a good critic.
Now I'm nervous. Now I'm nervous.
No, no worries. She's awesome.
I'm sure.
I have to say, otherwise you're gonna cut my balls asleep. Nah, she's awesome, but she also give me critiques. You know, like sometimes she's like, I noticed how in that podcast you capability to talk were like a little weird. So you need to sleep, remember, rest. Or sometimes I say stuff like, tomorrow I'm going to try to record 2 episodes because I know I have to go to the convention next week and I won't have time to record it. She's like, you sure you want to do 2 episodes? Because, man, just talking, it's unbelievable how exhausted you get, right?
Oh, yeah.
You like at this point already feeling a little wear off, you know what I mean?
What time is it?
I don't know what. It's 4 p.m. It says that we've been recording for almost 4 hours, but we took a couple of breaks, and a big chunk you're going to be edited off because we don't want that in there.
Fair enough. You know, just whatever's obvious. Yeah. I don't think anything was said that it was horrible. Mostly it was just uncomfortable. Not uncomfortable, just impromptu.
Yeah.
Impromptu. Again, I just don't want to be offensive to people unless I'm intentional.
Trying to be offensive to people.
Again, Sunday at 9 o'clock. Every Sunday at 9 o'clock, Jake Meeks from the Fireside Tattoo Network, Lauren Gregory, who's from Raw Pigments and Worldwide Magazine. I don't know. She's like a freelancer. Works in this case, she's representing Reinventing, and then I'm on for Tattoo Now. We do like a weekly hour where we have clips of the highlights from the previous week.
Oh.
We talk about what's coming up next week, and then dig something out of the archives. Actually, we have Guy was our guest last week, and then tonight we have the Inglorious Hoko. Do you know that guy at all?
No.
So he's from Australia, I think, or New Zealand. Shit, I hope. He's from down under, and he's amazing. Doing a lot of ZBrush, amazing tattooer. So he'll be the guest.
What is his name?
On the tattoo, Inglorious Hoko.
No, man.
And if ever you look him up online, he did a
probably I follow him on Instagram and I don't even know because it's so hard to remember.
Him and Adrian Dominic.
I know Adrian.
Adrian, they did a ZBrush demo last Sunday.
Oh, okay.
And it's like the Australian lockdown series because they're locked down. But Evan Griffith too, I think, is going to be on. So we've basically been reaching out to the Australians, and they have an energy. I mean, they're awesome and they're so skilled. So that's every Sunday at 9. So I got to kind of get up there, and then afterwards they're doing a figure drawing. So
awesome.
We'll do an hour.
All of that tonight.
Weekly. Yeah. That's on Sunday nights, and then we'll be doing this for the next probably 4 to 6 weeks. Every Sunday night we'll do 2 things.
Basically, this podcast won't come out today. Probably gonna come on Tuesday. I would
every
say.
Sunday. That's the beauty.
So that's what I wanted to say. Is every Sunday you have same idea. So you guys get together with other couple of persons or whatever, and talk about what happened last week, what's gonna happen next week, and then do some drawings. And
we're 2 months into the tattoo week. Again, Reinventing is we're beaming out like 7-8 times different shows a week. So there's always so much happening that, like I said, it's really fun to kind of pick out some of those clips, and then we talk about different topics. You know, those inks that are designed to disappear. You know, it's hard because the Google headlines are mostly like celebrity tattoo. Like you were saying, it's like celebrity charges $1,000 for hipster tattoo. But we'll talk about some topics like that. But and also just questions that people have about how to get tattoo. Like some part of like we were talking to get the perfect tattoo. You know, why does your artist want it big and you want it small?
Yeah, so it's hard that in one podcast episode, and first time we sit together to talk, we try to put together so much shit along with all the crap that comes to our mind while we're talking and want to also include there. So it's kind of, I feel like we talk about everything at the same time we didn't talk enough about important things. So as right now, I would say the thing that I care the most, that I would say we should kind of, at least before we close the day, maybe a little more about reinventing the tattoo app and a little more about the Paradise BYOB.
Yeah, cool.
So for the app, it's not just for tattoo artists. Everybody that is looking to become a tattoo artist, that is an apprentice, that is already a tattoo artist, or people that want to get informed or get the foot a little more into the industry to see it from inside, is a great place to be. A lot of information, a lot of different events during the week. And kind of those events are like...
Yeah, like the posts are all about art and getting better at your art. You know, and there is definitely tattoos, but as far as apprentice hopefuls, I mean, there's drawing groups that are specific for, basically all skill levels. You know, so Sundays or Mondays, everybody's welcome to join in and they can Zoom in. So the link is right there on the schedule. There's also art jams that are, a little bit more curated. So, like at the BYOB, we'll be doing an art jam for the band Vapors of Morphine's playing. We'll have a bunch of painters. That some of those are a little bit more curated. Android Jones did a pretty awesome visual set with Aja Lu doing the music.
Nice.
So that was a really awesome paint jam. And so I mean the network is amazing. There's like I said,
you have like the tattoo collectors
and the Tattoo Collector podcast with Fawn Baker. So and a lot of these shows are going to be at the BYOB. And this is again, it's easy to talk about them both. There's a lot of crossover. Like the Tattoo Collecting podcast, Fawn Baker will be at the BYOB doing podcast recordings like this with tattoo collectors. She's got stage time. She'll be on different panels, probably creating art. But it will be beaming in with World Tattoo Events. So Alex Van Dutch will be beaming in with tattoo collectors. A lot of these different shows will be streaming live from the BYOB, and but they're happening weekly and monthly, right? In Reinventing, part of what happened with Reinventing is when the pandemic started. Guy was like, why don't we do virtual events? We're already doing, we already kind of are doing virtual events. Why don't we just, do it, full on? So we did like 4 or 5 virtual tattoo gatherings where for like 2 days we'd have like 13 or 15 different events happening. It was like a little tattoo convention just happening virtually. And then we were also working on Reinventing, and guy was like, and then again, a guy was like, why don't we actually do Reinventing, which would be like streaming a little bit every day instead of like packing all this shit once a month into like 2 crazy days. And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. So basically Reinventing is like a little mini convention that happens virtually
all the time,
for artists of all skill levels,
And it's happening and you guys are like broadcasting it.
Yeah.
At the same time, you leave it there for the podcast so everybody can go and check, right?
Yeah, it's out of control. The amount of quality content is there. We could probably edit like 20% out, but for the most part, if you're a tattooer or you're a collector, then you throw it on in the background and you listen to it. And some of the uncomfortable pauses are when we're like, oh shit, should we edit that out? It's okay to have that in. People are watching or listening to a natural conversation. Yeah. People dig the stuff when they're getting tattooed. So if you have a client who's squirming, you could throw on one of these, we're on the YouTubes, it's on the podcasts. And, and I did this with a tattoo shop. Like, this isn't all, these are things that we know work. When collectors are listening to awesome tattooers talk about awesome ideas and great ideas, then all of a sudden they're asking you, maybe I want a sleeve. That's one of the ways that you turn that around, so that when someone's getting Faith Upside Down on their wrist, but they're listening to the podcast over the, speakers, all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, maybe I want to, and it's just like parenting too. You could tell them a million times, I think you should think about getting a sleeve. All of a sudden they're listening to a podcast where a guy Aitchison saying the same exact thing. And they're like, I think we should do that. Like, I said that because I learned it from him, but I said those same exact words to you, And so, anyways, and then there's the post people can post up. So it's interactive. Like I said, people can zoom in, people can post up. And, ultimately, we hope that people would pay for the memberships. Again, having access to Guy, 1 day a week to critique your exercises and the dozens of hours of exercises in the book and everything. It's like $300.
So there's certain part of the app that are like subscription only, and the rest is free and whatever.
Yep, exactly. Okay, more. I mean, I guess I don't know what percentage is free and what's not. Like, direct access to Guy every Monday is, one of the things that's charged for. And there's also a difference between like the free exercise groups where people like come in, they beam in and they draw. And there's a lot to be learned, and there's critiquing, and there's a lot of stuff of value that's from there. But when you go through a specific exercise, like I said, it's kind of like the difference between, like the Monday exercises with a guy like going to the dojo. He's like, let's draw gems. Let's draw eyeballs. Let's draw, spheres or whatever it might be. Like, everyone is like digging in, and then guys give him critique. He's
nice.
Like, you're sending in your stuff, and he's looking at it. And so Reinventing, like I said, so it's kind of like an online. I mean, so it's an online course community that a lot of it's free. The subscription is for tattooers. I think apprentices, there's it's
value, a lot of value for apprenticeships and
absolutely. Well, I mean, a lot of tattooers recommend it for apprentices for sure. And you can just get it off of the website if you just go to reinventingthetattoo.com. There's a web version. If you have the app and you click subscribe, you could subscribe. Sometimes, because we're here talking, if somebody buys it on the web, then you need to give us then you have to sign up to the mobile app. Then we could connect the web subscription to the app subscription. But the goal is, when you have it on your app and you're a subscriber, you just get a blink. Hey, Guy Aitchison's Monday exercise starts now.
Cool, man. And, are we good?
We're perfect. Thank you very much for the time.
No, thank you for coming all the way down here and sitting and talking, man. I appreciate it. I appreciate having the opportunity to talk to you and getting to know more details about all of these.
Awesome. You'll get to do this live on the BYOB stage. Have you done interviews like this in front of people?
No.
Awesome.
It's always the first time. I'm excited.
Yeah, that'll be great.
When is it going to be? Wednesday or Tuesday?
Tuesday, I believe. Tuesday. I don't know. We should definitely double check. We're not...
we figured it out.
You could go to, by the time that this is uploaded, you can go to paradisebyob.com to find out.
Awesome. Perfect.
Awesome.
Brother,
cheers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. That was great.
I see you around.
Okay. Cheers. Thank you for listening.